opportunity for you to get to meet some employers and for you to showcase your competencies during the interviews tomorrow. And God willing, you'll be engaged with these organizations to work. As the theme of the program says, empowering talent, building skills, and driving inclusive growth. We want to ensure that you are included as you come out from your different institutions, and you're trying to get employed, trying to enter the labor force. This is a very good opportunity. And what better way to start off that conversation than having this capacity development session where we'll be discussing, you know, relevant skills and information that you need to be able to get engaged with these organizations as we go on. So without wasting much time. If you have friends that are ought to be on this call and are yet to join us, please reach out to them. We're starting off the program. And on behalf of the Director General of NECA, person of Mr. Adewale Smarto Everyday, we welcome you to this program. Safety tips, very important before we start off. We'll be with you for the next few hours and want to ensure that you keep safety related matters as critical and important. Ensure that you're not sitting for too long as we go along, and ensure that you are seated in the right position. So that you are hydrated, you can grab a cup of water, a cup of tea to make sure that you're hydrated all through the session. And if you need to move around the room as you listen into today's session, please do, so that you're not sitting for too long. The agenda we have for you, we plan to ensure that the session ends by 12, and we have a lot in stock for you. We're starting off with this welcome and introduction of speakers, ground rules for the program, and then we'll move on to the welcome remark and opening remark. And the first session, where we'll be talking about CV and LinkedIn optimization, we'll be taking, and then we'll take questions and answers after that session. And then we'll move on to the second session for today, where we'll be talking about acing interviews, common questions, body language, and how to shine during your interview. When you'll be meeting the employers tomorrow, what are the things, what are the do's and don'ts that is expected of you? For your CVs, you will learn some tips to upgrade and, redefine your CVs before your session with the employers tomorrow. After which, we'll take the closing remark and then we'll close the session. So ensure that you stay on this call and ensure that you grab a paper, grab a pen, a notebook to take down informations that the facilitators will be sharing, which are going to be very critical and important to your development as we go along. So that is the agenda for today. And setting the ground rules, we want to ensure that we have a smooth conversation today. So please ensure that you are muted except you have the floor. If you have any questions, any contribution, the chat box is available for you to ask your questions. You can raise your hand and then you can also drop your questions in the chat box. Have an open mind. I know some of you have even started working in some other organizations. You might be wondering what they want to teach me about CVs, but please have an open mind. There are some mistakes that you might have been making in the past, and those things will be corrected today. So feel free to ask questions where it's not clear. Feel free to understand, get clarity on some areas that you're not too clear of. And for those that are yet to rename themselves on the call, I can see some devices. The name of your device is what you have logged in with. Please ensure that you rename so that we know the participants on this call for attendance purposes. It will help us with your session tomorrow. We know today's session is part of the criteria for the engagement tomorrow. So please ensure that you rename so that we know the names of the people on the call. And please stay active, ask questions, make contributions when the facilitator gives you the opportunity to do that. And on that note, I'll go straight on to the next item of the agenda, which is the welcome remark. And taking us on the welcome remark is Mrs. Adenike Adebayo Ajala. She's the Director of Social Labor Affairs for Nigeria Employers Consultative Association. Mrs. Ajala, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, GMC. Good morning, everyone. I hope I am audible. So if I am audible, can I see some reactions? Okay, fine, beautiful. Good morning and welcome to day one of our job and employability fair. This virtual session under the theme Empowering Talents, Building Skills, and Driving Inclusive Growth. So it is my distinguished pleasure to welcome you all to today's program, which is designed to help you with practical employability skills and valuable workplace insights that will enhance your preparedness to meet with employers tomorrow. We have a lot of employers that are just itching to meet with you, interview you, get your CVs. And so we felt that it is very important to have you well prepared to meet with them. We are also delighted to welcome our distinguished speakers and facilitators who have generously accepted to share their wealth of knowledge with us today. Your presence and contributions are deeply appreciated. Thank you, Madam Nelly. Thank you, Mr. Alassa. Thank you for taking time out of your very busy schedules to be here to share with the job seekers. Now, to our job seekers, you are our stars for today and tomorrow. We just want to use this opportunity to let you know that the world is your oyster and that you should take advantage of this opportunity to learn from seasoned professionals. These are recruiters, so they know what is happening out there. So learn from them, know the areas where you will be able to shine, and then please feel free to ask questions on any area where you feel you need clarification on. At NECA, we remain committed to giving you these opportunities of matching you with the employers of your dreams, and wish you a very successful 2 days. As the MEC said, please let those your friends, your relatives who you want to be at this session know about the job fair. Invite them to be at the program tomorrow, and then we look forward to welcoming you. On that note, I say thank you very much for joining us and wish you beautiful deliberations. Over to you, Yemisi.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Jala, for that wonderful welcome remark. Thank you for putting this together. And having said that, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, where we'll be having the opening remark by the very own Director General of NECA, in person of Mr. Adewale Smart Oyemide. Without him, this program wouldn't have been up at this moment. We appreciate his leadership and we appreciate the opportunity for the job seekers to meet the employers. And on that note, I'll hand over to you, DG. You have the floor.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, our esteemed, I won't call you job seekers, potential employees and business owners. So good morning and thank you for joining us. I also want to appreciate our facilitators and external guests that are playing a very important role in the context of this conversation. Thank you for your support and for your critical partnership in this, our employability project as we move on. Well, you all know the data, you all know the reality of the job market, especially as it concerns Nigeria, not only Nigeria, as it concerns the global markets as it were, challenges everywhere, multidimensional challenges for businesses, economy as it were. But irrespective of these challenges and the issues, we cannot relent. And NECA's intervention basically on this context is to create opportunities for job seekers, for potential employees, first to upskill themselves. I think that's the first most important thing, upskill yourself and position yourself in a place where when the opportunities come, you are in a good place to maximize these opportunities. So I want to congratulate you for taking the step to join this very important session. And also urge you that beyond the session today, those of you that will be around tomorrow, you come early. Those of you that have not taken the AI fluency course, I think you should take time to do the AI fluency course. It will help you and give you a hedge within the context of the conversation that we'll be having today and also having tomorrow. Suffice to say, it's going to be a very interesting day today and a much more interesting day tomorrow in NECA house. So please prepare yourself today so that you can leave home early tomorrow to get to NECA house early enough, because our time remains our time. We are very finicky about keeping to time. So I want to wish all of you the best of luck in this journey, on this path that you've taken, and hoping to see you tomorrow at NECA house. Thank you, and do enjoy the rest of the program.
All right. Thank you, DG, for that wonderful opening remark. And like I said, ensure that you keep upskilling yourself so that you are employable. And part of that upskilling is the sessions we'll be having today. Also, as regards tomorrow, like he said, punctuality is very critical. Please ensure that you are at the facility at the appropriate time. And on that note, because we don't intend to keep you for too long today, we'll be moving next to the item on the agenda, which is the first session on your CV optimization and LinkedIn optimization masterclass. And taking us on that session is Mr. Michael Alassa. He's the founder and managing director of Recruiting Consulting Limited. He's a seasoned human resources and organizational development leader with years of experience in talent management, HR strategy, consulting, and leadership development across Nigeria and beyond. As the founder and managing director of Recruiting Consulting Limited, a strategic workforce and talent solutions firm operating across Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, Rwanda, South Africa, Canada, and the UK, he has built a reputation for translating complex commercial and people strategy challenges into practical, measurable outcomes for organizations across multiple sectors. Mr. Michael has a strong track record of translating complex commercial concepts into practical branch-level tools that drive measurable business results. I'm proud to his founding Recruiting. Mr. Michael served in senior executive roles, including Chief Executive Officer, Chief Operating Officer, and so many others, where he led operations, strategy, human capital development, and talent solutions delivery at scale. His area of expertise spans strategic recruitment and talent acquisition, AI technology, HR advisory and organizational development, performance and people strategy, leadership coaching, and workforce transformation. Is a recognized voice on Africa's talent market evolution, inclusive employment practices, and the role of modern HR as a strategic business lever. And I'm sure with this profile, you know that you're in the right hands to take us through this session. Have an open mind, like I said earlier, to grasp as many information as you can. Ensure that you have a notepad with you and a pen to take notes and to implement all that you'll be learning as regards your CV LinkedIn before tomorrow's session. And on that note, I'll yield the floor to Mr. Michael to take us through the session. Thank you, Mr. Michael, you have the floor.
All right, okay. So good morning, everyone. Please confirm you could hear me.
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you so much. I'll say that the profile is a bit I don't know what to say, but it's more like a trap. So I'm just Mr. Michael, just in a very simple short note. And I want to appreciate NECA for this opportunity. I also recognize every senior leader that is also on this call. It's a great privilege to be here every time. You know, I'm always ready to support, you know, even though my schedule is so tight, but I just have to do this because I remembered when I was actually coming up as a graduate, I didn't have this opportunity. And I actually made it up, you know, in my mind that I'm actually going to do a lot in contributing, you know, to the graduates, because I recall when I was on campus, then I started, you know, drafting my resume. when I was on campus because I had this strong foresight of I want to work in big companies like Deloitte, all these big organizations. So I thought about it. I need to prepare myself. I need to position myself, just to make sure that I'm visible enough, to showcase my potentials. And I was intentional about, building my leadership skills. So I joined a lot of organizations. I mean, a lot of communities on campus, building my leadership, whatever, because I must put something on my resume, right? My resume can't just be blank. So that comes with high level intentionality. Okay, so I tried my best to make sure that I have a lot of information to capture my resume. To give you this shocker, while I was on campus, my dad, though is late now, he was applying for a role because he's an educationist. And he told me, "Oh, I want to be the school administrator for this school." And I think it was actually in Ondo State. It's okay, Dad, you know what? Don't worry. Just give me a few information and I know what. And I was still on campus and he shared the information with me. I worked on his resume and voila, he used it. And of course, he got the job. In fact, it was an awesome experience for him. So imagine I was on campus, I'm not even yet out as a graduate, and I could actually develop a resume for an experienced person. So put aside that is even my dad, an experienced person. So if I was able to do that on campus, why can't we on this call do that? The best thing is for you to be able to develop your own resume. Why? Because you will understand what you're putting on that profile. So for me not to waste time, let me quickly share my screen. Please, while I'm actually trying to share my screen, let me just see your thumbs up in the comment section. Okay, I love the energy I'm getting here today. So please, can you see my screen? Just say yes or no in the comment section. Okay, I would like to hear a voice to confirm that you can see my screen. Can anyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
All right, okay. So today we'll be talking about CV preparation and review, right? We'll also be talking about LinkedIn, LinkedIn optimization. So of course, the first thing for us to understand is about a CV, of course, and this CV is a very important document. It's like an image of you. It's a replica of you, right? But it is what you invest in your profile that will actually speak for you, even in rooms that you don't expect. So for you, you must be intentional about the information you capture on your resume. I've seen a lot of times whereby people undersell their value. I've engaged a lot of, wonderful candidates, and in the process, so they have a lot to give. But on their resume, it's not actually, shown on that documents, which means they're not leveraging information, they're not leveraging their exposure, they're not leveraging on what's their capacity, their potential, and crafting that story, on their resume. So for me, or let me say CV, for me, I would say that your CV is quite very important for you to, for you to be able to write your story. And I told someone this morning, it's actually a top person, a top leader in this space, and was actually talking to me about, getting another opportunity and what have you. And one of the things I told him is that number one, on your resume or possibly maybe on your profile, please make sure that you craft your story well. It is what you make them see that they will definitely see. If you don't make them see the good side of you, I mean, the high level of potentiality from your side, they will see something less of that, either in 3D camera or in 5D camera. Just make sure that your information is well captured on your profile, because you don't know where your resume can actually, get to. So for us today, we'll be talking about, we understand the purpose and the structure of an effective CV. We need to learn the key tips for tailoring CVs, to job roles, industries. And we also need to recognize common CV mistakes and how to avoid them. And of course, I think I have a lot of examples, for our adoption. So for this icebreaker and introduction, how many of you have never received a call back despite applying to 10 jobs? Let me see your comments. Let me just see your comments. How many of you've applied, a lot of times, but they didn't actually get back to you? Okay, so if actually they didn't get back to you, then definitely there's something wrong, right? Maybe you're not communicating well to them. So the next thing I need to talk about is you introducing yourself and frame the session, as a practical experience. So one thing I'll just say is that when it comes to your resume, make sure you introduce yourself in a well practical way. When you see a lot of profiles, there are some things that you must actually understand, because I've seen instances whereby people will just copy a lot of information on their CV. They just copy a lot of information and it will look like a biography. No, it shouldn't look that way. What your CV should look like is to focus on your educational experience, the educational journey, your workplace experience, the results you've been able to achieve, basic information about yourself in terms of your name, your email, accurate email address, and please don't use any email address, your phone number, accurate phone number, and possibly maybe your country. You may necessarily not capture your full address, residential address. There are some things that we need to actually stop introducing to our resume. So like what I have here, you see I've been using resume and CV interchangeably. So I'm going to tell us what the difference is like. So for a CV, I'll say CV is like a crafting your own success story on a paper. It's where you showcase your journey, your skills, and your triumphs. Think of it as your brochure of brilliance designed to captivate potential employers and leave them eager to learn more about the remarkable individual behind that document. So your CV is not just about list of qualifications. It confirms and proves your dedication, your expertise, your potential to make a real difference in the world. So embrace the opportunity to tell your story in a way that inspires and motivates others to recognize your unique talents and contributions. So your CV, I would say, is not just a piece of paper or a copy. It's a ticket to unlocking your extraordinary opportunities and fulfilling your dreams. And what I would say is that your CV is like, it captures a lot about what you've done so far. It's more like the foundational document that captures every single detailed information about your progress, about what you've achieved, about your milestones, about your backgrounds and everything. It captures every single thing. That's your resume. That's your CV. That's why they call it curriculum vitae. It captures everything. But you see, when it comes to your resume is more like a concise summary document, which is customized, right? So your resume is customized to maybe a particular job, or maybe let's say particularly a particular role that you want to apply for. And that's why it's always good to have customized resume for different roles, opportunity. So like what I have below here, a resume is a professional calling card, right? It's a concise summary of skills, so experience and accomplishments tailored especially for the job you're applying for. It's your chance to make a quick and impactful impression on potential employers, showcasing why you are the perfect fit for the role. So, like I said, make every word count and ensure it reflects your strengths your capabilities effectively, and make sure that your resume is your ticket to getting noticed and landing the job you want. So what I'll say is that your CV is going to be like your library, right? Where you have every single detail about you. Like what we have here, we have Alexander. So let's say Alexander. About Alexander, we have a lot of information, in the library of Alexander, which is the CV. But for your resume, what you do is you scrape from the CV, so straight from your CV and customize it based on the need. So for example, if you're applying for the role of a customer call center, for example, and you have your CV which is augmented with different experience, you need to customize your resume, to suit the expectation of the role you're applying for. So if, for example, you have 2 years of experience in customer service, maybe with 2 different companies, and the other experience you've had so far is maybe you've worked in the hotel, but not a customer center, or you've worked in maybe a different field entirely, which does not properly align with, that role. Definitely, you could actually not maximize that, focus more on the roles that you've actually exhibited. That's the customer service center unit, whereby and then you focus more on the achievements, the milestones, so that they can see the potentials you have, and then they can actually recognize you for the opportunity internally in the organization. So when we look at your CV, these are the components of your resume. Okay, either CV or resume, but let's do this at the moment. There are some key things you need to look out for. Are we together? So please let me see your thumbs up, in the comment section. So one of the things we need to firstly look out for is your contact details. Okay, as you can see here, we have the address, we have the email, and we have the mobile number. Okay, so this is like a pictorial information illustration for us to see. So your contact details must be accurate. Please, it must be accurate. Your first name and your last name too must be well captured. When it comes to your email, please make sure you use a professional email. I don't want to be saying adelove@yahoo.com or sexy baby. I've seen a lot of funny emails. Please, you need to be professional. You're a graduate, right? And you want to make them understand that you are highly employable. So you need to make sure that your email address is top notch. Your mobile, your phone number, please put the accurate phone number. I mean, phone number that is actually going through. Don't go and capture a phone number that they will try to get across to you and they won't be able to actually engage you. I've seen instances whereby we've tried, I think someone is very good and we tried reaching out to the person. The phone number was not reachable and the email was not accurate. It was bouncing back. So, and there was no way we could get across to the person. That's how the person lost the opportunity. So please make sure that while you're inserting your email, make sure that it is accurate and professional. And make sure that your phone number is accurate. Your address, please keep the address concise. Lagos, Nigeria. It's simple as that. Don't provide too many information about maybe where you live and what's on, because you don't know where this document is actually going to end over to. I've seen a lot of stories, a lot of videos whereby people's resume ends up with the big Exceller, all these roadside people. So you need to be careful with the way you actually capture your information on your CV or resume. So the next thing we have is education. Please capture your information about your educational background. So of course, the university, your high school, since you're a fresh graduate, and then your area of specialization, your grade, and of course, maybe other accolades that you had during that time. Please capture it. Please always leverage on your achievements. Always leverage on your awards. Always leverage on your experience on your CV or resume. The next thing we have here is work experience. I'm still going to explain a lot of details around this. Your work experience, you capture the name of the organization. If, for example, you've not worked anywhere before, you can still make good use of maybe communities, fellowships, institutions that you worked with while on campus. And that's why you see we need to be intentional while we're on campus to build our profile, to build, our leadership skills. All these things count, regardless of maybe how many months duration or even if it's a day period. Please, all these things count. I remember my first job, professional job I got in Lagos, one of the professional jobs I got in Lagos. What made me outstanding was my undergraduate experience. I worked with different communities, different institutions, and the head of HR was really amazed. Like, oh, Michael, you've done this, you've done this, you've done this. So I think you and someone would like to work with. We can just brush you up since we could see that you have the zeal, you've been able to achieve this and this and this. It will expose you more to things, will train you. And of course, from there, you can pick up, and you're also very intelligent. So all those things are very, very important. But if amongst us, we're already working, then of course, this column 2 is also very important for us when it comes to the work experience. There are other aspects of our CV, our resume, leadership and award experience too is also very important. And also other additional information like language, your interests, maybe there are some skill sets that you also want us to understand that you've actually captured over time, you've earned over time. All those things can also be captured. So like what I have here, these are the basic elements of the resume. Like I said before, contact information, that's your name, phone number, email, and your LinkedIn profile link, because you need to also capture your link when it comes to LinkedIn. If you don't have a LinkedIn account, please try to open a LinkedIn account because it's also very important for your visibility. LinkedIn is really, really a big platform of a lot of professionals. So it's also a very good platform for you to showcase what you've actually done. Now, when it comes to your objectives and summary, there's always a column for objectives and summary. In this section, you need to create strong career objectives and summary statements that briefly highlight your career goals and key qualifications. I've seen a lot of objectives or summaries, which is more like copy and paste. You need to be intentional. What is actually your objective? What is actually your philosophy to life? What's your philosophy to the career workspace? You need to be intentional about what to capture in that section. So all these things we can also train you and make you understand how to capture it in a very better way. We also have the professional experience, which is actually here. You need to carefully list your work history in a reverse chronological order, including the company name, the job title, your employment dates, key responsibilities and achievements for each position. We also have the education. You need to capture educational background, your skills. You need to showcase your skills, your soft skills, your hard skills. In the skill section, you need to showcase that. And maybe there are other things you need to capture. Have you received a lot of certifications? You wrote a lot of certifications, so maybe professional exams, professional certifications. Please capture it. I know for some of you on campus, you've earned a lot of professional certificates. So capture that as well. Maybe you received a lot of awards, leadership awards. Please capture that. Publications, volunteering work. This I can never forget about this. Please, if you have any opportunity to volunteer in any capacity, please volunteer. It actually contributes a lot. I have done a lot of volunteering right from university days. While I also served, I did a lot of volunteering. And it's actually one of the things that helped me to even kickstart my career after service. So volunteering also opens the way for you when you don't see a paid job. At least volunteering can help you to earn the experience. So it's also good that we take volunteering serious, at this level. So let's look at the steps to create an effective CV. So when it comes to your CV, okay, what you need to do is to start with your contact information, start with your name, your address, your phone number, your email. Make sure this information is clearly visible at the top. So step 1, go to the contact information. Once you capture your CV, just go to the contact information. And then you insert your name accurately. You insert your address accurately. You you insert your phone number accurately, you insert your email address accurately, and make sure that it is clearly visible at the top. Then your personal statement, I've mentioned that already. Write a summary that highlights your key competencies, your capacity, motivation, and career goals. We have a lot of AI platforms that you can use. You can use ChatGPT, you can use Cloud AI, you can use different platforms, but please make sure it is concise. Make sure it's something that reflects you in a very, very professional way, something that is tagged to your philosophy to life, that is tagged to your philosophy to your career space. And make sure it's not more than 1 to 2 paragraph max. Please make sure it's not more than that. Then for your education, you can list academic degrees in reverse chronological order. So you have to look into your degree. So you start like this, your degree, your diploma end, the name of the institution, the location of the institution, and then your CGPA. If your CGPA is very impressive, you had the first class, you had maybe a strong 2-1, well, you can capture it. For me, I graduated with 2-2. I also captured the second class lower, and I inserted the CGPA because it was a very strong 2-2. So I captured it over the two. So but of course, for me, first class and 2-1, we like to, let's leverage on that information. And you can also capture the CGPA. And if you had any academic honors or award, please also capture that, on your CV. It's very important for you to do that, please. Then for your work experience, these are the steps you need to firstly look into. The first thing is your job title and the dates employed. So let's say that you got a job opportunity maybe last year and the role is data analyst, right? You are a data analyst, but it's an entry level. So the first thing is you capture your name, the role title, which is data analyst, and the dates that you were employed. Then you capture the name of the company as well. Okay, so what's the name of the company? Let's say the name of the company is Recruiting Consulting, for example. Maybe you worked with me. So say Recruiting Consulting, okay, the dates you were employed and the job title, okay, data analyst. Then I've seen a lot of times that the next thing that follows is actually people's responsibilities, right? But going forward, I would like to say that instead of you capturing your responsibilities, and that's why I like to here so that I don't forget. Many people always capture their responsibilities on their CV. Please don't do that anymore. What you should do instead is to capture your achievements. And I'll give you an example. So let's say as a data analyst, one of the things that you do is to pre-screen data, right? Excel data information, maybe over 2,000 data information on Excel, is to scoop through it and to make sure that maybe you also work on it, to audit it and what have you. Those are part of your responsibilities. Maybe other things is for you to break it down into informations that can be useful for maybe your manager to make an informed decision, maybe to break it down. So let's say maybe you have a biodata form of maybe graduates, for example, who applied for a role. And then one of the things you did is you captured the gender, you captured the locations where they are residing, you captured their degree, maybe first class, second class, you captured all those things. As a data analyst, you capture all those things. Those are day-to-day activities. But when you want to capture it on your resume, one of the things you have to look into is, okay, what are the key results that you've been able to exhibit while working on this role, on this task and what have you. So you need to capture your achievements. So what are the things you need to capture? Okay, I was able to how do I want to put it now? I was able to gather information and I went further to simplify the information into different categories. And I further explained it into the percentage of the total percentage of let me say, the total percentage of the gender we found in the Western region, in the Eastern region, and this and this and this. And I was also able to make a lot of recommendations in this and this and this. And because of that, my MD or my line manager was able to make an informed decision in the space of 2 minutes, which was really instrumental for him at the board meeting. That alone, you've helped your boss to look good at the board meeting. Why? Because you've been able to capture that information in the space of 2 minutes, 3 minutes. So that alone is actually an achievement for you. Why? Because you didn't just do your normal day-to-day activities, just saving information. You went the extra miles to, break it down, make it more illustrative, make it even much more detailed than the way it should be, and even give a lot of percentage, figures and what have you. You quantified everything to make sure that it is highly, useful for your MD. So what you need to look into is your achievements. And these are things you don't just capture or you just copy and paste somewhere or you give it to ChatGPT to do for you. No, you need to sit down, you need to look at, okay, what are those things you achieved on this role? And that is why when it comes to CV, revamping or developing your CV, please, even if you want to give it to people that can actually craft CVs for you, please be seated with them and take your time, sit down and capture what you really achieved while you were working with them or what you were able to do while on the road. This achievement is what will sell you, put you, on a better scale, for them to see your potentials. You must be able to capture your potential. One of the things that they will likely want to see about a data analysis that's okay when it comes to decision making, when it comes to use of tools, when it comes to being able to break further information, share information maybe in an experienced manner. There are some skill set they will actually look into. That's okay. I think I like this person. This person is forward thinking. This person, knows how to capture information. This person understands data and knows how to, compile it in a very detailed manner for my adoption. So those things, those extra miles, those extra skills that, you're developing in terms of your capacity, your capability, those things are actually very important for you to capture. That is what will create that perception when they're engaging you, or maybe when the recruiter sees your CV at a glance and says, okay, I think I like this guy. You can even go further to let them understand that, on Excel, I can do Java this, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, or I can even do other things in Excel. So all those things helps you, to position yourself that, when it comes to the use of data, when it comes to the use of Excel, when it comes to the use of data, I am not at a beginner level. I'm at an experience level. I'm at all those things do matters. They have to see it clearly in your achievement for each role that you identify. And please make sure that your information on your work experience is clearly stated out and well arranged. Use bullet points. I've seen some CVs and I shake my head because why? It doesn't look presentable. Please make sure your CV is highly presentable, please, because you don't know who is actually going to capture me, get a hold of your CV. It could be the MD of an organization, it could be the HR director of an organization. And because of the arrangement of your profile, of your work experience, they will say, oh, I think I like this guy. So that also add marks to your presentation. Imagine you're going for an interview and your dress is not looking good or you look tattered. That's what your CV is like. Okay, because your CV is like a replica of you, in rooms that you have not even stepped into. So imagine that CV is a person. So you need to look good, you need to be well arranged, okay? You need to look, very, very composed and everything. So make use of bullet points, to describe all your achievements so far, okay? And while describing your achievements, like I said earlier, use impactful verbs and quantifying results where possible. I'm going to explain more around that, in the next slide that we'll be sharing. Then for your skills, of course, create a skills section detailing both your technical skills, your hard skills, and even your interpersonal or soft skills relevant to your field. So for a data analyst, okay, or let me say for a customer center person or maybe a telesales person, what are the skills you need to let them know that you have? Okay, so for example, you're good with customer relations, and that must be well explained in your achievement. How are you able to display that, in being able to manage customers? So you need to look into that. Okay, customer relations, documentation. What else now? We are actually talking about customer relations, data usage, using data to make informed decisions about customers that are consistent, customers that are not consistent, how to engage them, all those things that you feel that as a customer center, when it comes to soft skills, when it comes to hard skills, you need to capture them so that to show your competency level, to show your capacity level in your deliverables, that okay, this person can actually deliver in this. And then there are basic interpersonal skill sets that you need to also capture on your resume. All these things are very important because, see, most employers today are looking for skills, okay? And your skills must actually earn the space. Okay, your skill set must actually earn the space. Gone are the days we will talk about degrees. Yeah, degrees are very important, but immediately, can you do the job? Do you have what it takes to do the job? Do you have the capacity to do the job? What skill sets have you actually earned over time to do the job? So all those things are actually very, very important. Then what are the other things or possible sections that you can look into when it comes to your CV? We have publications and research, we have certifications or licenses, we have voluntary work, we have your language proficiency, we have relevant coursework, like on campus, um, your coursework, or let me say, what's the name for it? I've forgotten. Why can't I remember now? What you graduate with, right? The coursework that you work on. You can capture something briefly about it, what you did, and the impact, that it's actually made, within maybe the context of your research. You can capture something like that as well, for them to see the efforts of your work, for them to understand your research capability, for them to also understand maybe your entrepreneurship level, or uh, maybe the way you see the environment in terms of the context, so all those things are also very important for you to actually look into. For your conferences, maybe you've been to a lot of conferences, or you've done a lot of presentations, please, you can also capture that. Our professional membership too, that would be a plus for you. I've seen a lot of fresh graduates already chartered, maybe ICANN, CIPN, other professional membership. Please capture that as well if you have that information on your CV. So the main thing is make sure that you gather a lot of information, and please don't capture false information on your resume or CV. I've seen a lot of cases whereby a lot of graduates overinflate self or hyperinflate self their profile, based on what they can't even do. And by the time you start engaging them, they won't be able to defend it. Please put what you can defend on your CV, but craft it in a better way. Craft that story well, so that they can see the gold in what you're saying. So, but please don't misrepresent yourself. Don't capture what you are not on your resume, because now these are part of the challenges and the issues with AI now. A lot of people will just they'll just take AI information, bam, into the AI tool, and you have a wonderful resume. Claude AI can even do a CV for you. So all those things, we need to be intentional about it. Please don't overinflate. Don't go and put what you are not. Okay, but make sure that you capture a lot of progress you've made so far, a lot of achievements you've done so far, and craft the story very well. It's all about crafting your story well, and presenting it. For your CV is like a marketing tool. So you must know how to market yourself. You must know how to sell your value, because everything I want to see on your resume is value. And if you don't give me that value in a well-packaged way, then I won't actually appreciate it. So that is actually very important. The references, you can simply just state references will be available upon request. I've seen a lot of resume that they will capture full details of their referees on their CV. You say, Chief Agabiaka, this is his phone number, this is his work. No, now we need to protect them. You don't know where this information will go to, and you don't know who is actually going to get hold of your resume. So you need to protect them. It is when the employers ask for them, maybe they want to progress with you. There's about data form they will give you. They can capture the information. So please, on your CV or resume, please capture it as references will be available upon request so that you can protect your people that are willing to reference you. Then, of course, your formatting. Please use clear setting headings and consistent fonts. So please, when you want to, you can use a time romance. You can use which other fonts can you use? I do use centric Gothic. I use centric Gothic. You can use time romance. You can use. There's also another one you can use, but please make sure that is uniformed across all your resume. Please don't use centric Gothic somewhere. You use time romance in another segment, use another font. No, make sure you use the right font and be consistent with that font formatting, in that setting. Then the dates, like the dates for maybe your workplace, please make sure that it is also consistent. Possibly you just use January and maybe you can just capture January 2025, January 2026. Just use that format. It's much more better, okay? And make sure that your document is, it has a lot of white space so that it can be legible enough for them to use. And please always have your resume in PDF format, because for some organizations, for some employers, they use all these AI screening tools that can actually screen through your resume. So for some of them, they request PDF, while for some of them, they request for Word documents. Just make sure you understand the instruction when you are actually customizing your resume. If the client or the employer wants Word documents, please capture your information in Word documents. If they want it in PDF format, please capture it in PDF format. It is very important. Please, instruction is very, very key for us. Let us pay attention to details. So tailoring, customize your CV for each application by moving the most relevant skills and experience to the top. Then make sure you proofread carefully. Please proofread carefully. You don't know, there could be some grammatical errors or what have you on your CV. Please proofread it carefully. Check for spellings, grammars, maybe formatting errors before sending it out. Please make sure you do this very well. You can even also engage another person to just use the second eye, right, to check out for grammars, formatting errors, and spellings, because it is very important. Why? Because all these things represent you. And you must represent yourself well. I call this halo effect. Halo effect is first impression. The first impression lasts longer. So make sure you have that strong halo effect from the start. So what are the systemic features of an ATS resume? I always advise that now that the space has drastically changed, the talent space has drastically changed. Now we see a lot of AI platforms, that actually screens most of this resume. So you need to go beyond just crafting your resume. You need to ensure that you have an ATS resume, right? ATS, and you'll be wondering, what is ATS, right? Don't worry, I'll explain to you. So this is how possibly it looks like, but let's proceed. So you could see this platform, right? Yeah, this platform is actually, you can use it to actually audit your resume and create, position your resume very, very well. So this platform is called Resume Worded. You can actually pen it down and check it out after this engagement. So you can look at for Resume Worded. I think it's for free as well. So upload your resume. It will audit you to even tell you your score, right? And that's why you see, like, this person now, Sarah, is actually 37. So she will scale through. what if maybe the pass mark is maybe 70, 60? Now that's why you see that most of the times you apply, you don't get any response. Why? Because your resume is not ATS formatted. So what is an ATS? An ATS is an applicant tracking system. It's a software used by many companies to manage and filter job applications. So ATS helps employers organize and evaluate resumes efficiently by collating, sorting, and filtering applications. It streamlines the hiring process by reducing manual efforts and ensuring that the most qualified candidates are actually considered. So that is the work of an ATS. Now with AI, it makes work easier. Yeah, you see a lot of candidates applying. Like earlier this year, recruiting consulting, we did a graduate graduate training project for a midstream oil and gas company. And it was published everywhere online, and we got over 10,000 applicants for the role. Over 10,000. So we needed to use AI, right? Our ATS tracking system helped in that regard to streamline them, and it was able to streamline them down to 2,000, no, sorry, 3,000. From 3,000, then we now proceeded with the next phase of the screening, which is actually the assessments and what have you. And we're able to still streamline it down, okay, to the best 200. So you need to make sure that you're well positioned in terms of an ATS software. So your resume must be ATS formatted. You have to position your resume. If you could check this this image, you could see that this AI platform is identifying some things, right? You could see for impact, it's looking at you quantifying your impact. It's looking out for repetition. It's looking out for weak verbs. Okay, it's looking out for verb sentences. It's looking out for your responsibilities and spellings, right? And there's looking out for that is like your soft skills, is looking out for your hard skills, is even looking out for line analysis, or maybe let's say like your summary now is going to, evaluate it and recommend, because it's an AI platform. It will even recommend a stronger one, for your adoption. So these are things you need to actually look into for you to be able to quantify for you to be able to quantify to make sure that your profile is highly ATS formatted. So also one of the things we need to look into when it comes to the ATS platform, there are 5 crucial things you need to understand, right? 5 crucial application tracking system features. One of the things you need to look out for is the career page. So when you go to the career page of the platform, one of the things you need to look into is what is actually on the job description. So you need to look at the requirements, okay, because the requirement is actually very important for you. You need to look at your requirements, the requirements of the job roles. What are the technical requirements? What are the soft skills requirements? Maybe like the competencies that are needed, educational requirements, all those things, you need to look into it first. Please, when it comes to application of role application, please don't just apply anyhow. You have to be strategic about it, right? For us as NECA people, we need to make sure that we apply for these roles, in a professional manner. Don't just apply aimlessly. You need to firstly look at it. You need to decipher. You need to skim through to see, am I actually qualified for this role? Do I have what it takes to qualify for this role? And you must have a tracker as well. You must have a tracker as a graduate. You must have a tracker, for most of these things. Look out, for day one, maybe for month one, how many applications have you sent out, and how many have they gotten back to you? Because if once you can't track, what you cannot measure, definitely that there's a lot of issues that's going to come out from it. You won't be able to track it and of course position yourself very well and even identify your limitations or gap. So when you go to the career page of the prospective employer, you firstly understand, okay, this and these are the information needed. Then you capture that information and then align it with your own resume, check it out. Okay, they need this. Look at your own resume. Okay, I think I have this, but I can make it more better. Okay, look at this. Okay, this and this. Just make sure you look at that very well. Then the next thing is you look into the job description portal. right? Of course, that's where you see all the roles, and look out for the one that you can apply for. And one thing, once you apply, the next thing is that the ATS tracking system will start sorting out all these resumes. So if you don't get your CV right from this point, if your CV is not ATS formatted, once it gets here, based on the parameters the employer has actually marked out, for sorting, it will either maybe keep you in view or maybe to reject your application. And that is why this is where a lot of decisions are being made. So even the recipients, or let me say the recruiter, may not even see your resume. So most of these things, you need to make sure that your resume is ATS formatted. So if it is ATS formatted, it will go straight to their resume box storage. And once it goes to their resume box storage, then from there, you see that the AI platform will schedule you. And to schedule you for an interview. There's always a messenger or interview scheduler to schedule you immediately. So this is how an ATS tracking system works like. This is how it actually works. So there's no big deal, there's no big issue about it. But for us as fresh graduates or graduates, we need to make sure that we position our resume very well. We craft it well, make sure that it is ATS formatted, so that right from this job description portal, our application gets here and we are actually being qualified, or we are pushed forward to the next stage, which is actually going to be this resume storage. And then you can now move to the next stage, which is the interview schedule, okay, or the interview session. And then you now need to also, plan, prepare better for this interview session. So optimizing your resume for ATS, there are some things you need to look out for. Okay, you need to use relevant keywords. So this AI, they are looking for keywords, and those keywords are highly competent information, right? Those things must actually match with the job description. And that's why you need to identify, you need to look out for the keywords that are in the job description. Like you see here, you post here, the recruiter posts the job, they get resumes, they track the candidates, and then it's so simple for them. So you need to carefully review the job posting and identify the most important keywords, skills, qualification, and phrases. You need to include these relevant keywords in your resume. Don't include what does not represent you. Please look out for those relevant keywords that represent you and must insert in your resume, particularly in the skills section, in the work experience description, and qualification summary. Then you use both exact keyword that matches you and, of course, synonyms to increase your chances of being detected. So these are one of the key critical things you need to do to actually optimize your resume for an ATS. The second thing you need to look out for is your file formats. Your file formatting, which matters a lot. Okay, ATS systems work best with specific file formats. That's why I said you need to look out for the instruction that is being requested for. Do they want a PDF document? Do they want a Microsoft Word? You need to pay attention to details, right? And when you're saving your document, save it in that format. So save your resume in the common and widely accepted formats. That's Microsoft Word or PDF. PDF is possible document format. And avoid using formats like JPEG. I've seen someone sending me a resume in a JPEG format. How do you want me to work with that? How do you expect to work with that? Because in fact, that also is not ATS friendly. So thirdly, I need you to avoid complex formatting. So avoid, so I have 4 keywords here: avoid, use, avoid, and then stick. So what do you need to avoid here? ATS may struggle to interpret resumes with complex formatting, images, tables, graphs, or unusual fonts. Hence, avoid complex formatting. Ensure compatibility of information. I think the information, there's still a lot there. But just make sure that it is concise. Make sure that the font size is accurate. Make sure that the document is actually either a MS document or a PDF. Then use simple, clean, and straightforward layouts. Use simple. I've seen a lot of CVs, the way they over designing and what have you. And you see, you also need to understand, for example, now if you're a graphics designer your resume should be a bit different. The concept of your resume should be a bit different because you should be focused more on your portfolios, right? And all those things. Maybe you have a lot of information on your Behance platform and what have you. So that link can take you there, and so that they can they can see what you've done. But we need to understand the context of what you're applying for. But please make sure that your resume is simple, plain, and straightforward. Then avoid fancy fonts, excessive use of italics, underlines, or bold text. Please avoid them. And then stick to standard fonts like Arial, Calibri, or Times New Roman for better readability. I also use Century Gothic. So these are things you need to avoid, to ensure that you avoid complex formatting. Number 4, prioritize key information. Place key skills, qualifications, and relevant information near to the top of your resume. So there are some things the ATS must capture immediately. And you see the template. I'll share with you. You see it. All those information like your skill set, you need to put it at the top so that you can actually see it on time and make sure that your skill sets are top notch. They are skill set that actually describes you well. So start with qualification summary or a well-crafted professional profile that highlights your key skills, experiences, and achievement. Then use specific language and incorporate essential keywords in this section to signal a strong fit for the position. Follow this with a section highlighting your key skills to reinforce your qualification. And then for number 5, maintain a clear layout. Keep your resume well organized and easy to read to ensure the ATS, will be able to pass through it effectively. Use clear and consistent headings for sections like work experience, education, and skills so that the AI can pick it, okay? And include bullet points to make content scannable. Ensure that the resume follows a logical flow, typically starting with your contact section, followed by a summary, objective, or work experience, education, and additional sections. Now let's look at this resume. So this is an ATS. This is an ATS resume, okay? And you could see a lot of colorings, right? I'm sure you might be wondering, what are these colors all about? Okay, but I'm going to explain a lot to you when it comes to the colorings on this resume. So, for example, we have Jonathan Javier here, and his education is University of California, Riverside. Please, let me still see your thumbs up. Let me see your thumbs up, or let me see your comments. Okay, please just keep, all right, okay. I hope you're enjoying this NECA career fair. Okay, awesome. So for this education, you could see that under Jonathan Javier, you could see that he captured his address, right? You could see that it's not so long. It's just the location, simple. The LinkedIn link, his phone number, email, and maybe his website, And then the education, you could see is the university, the CGPA, the awards, okay, and then you can see the data as well and the location. Very, very simple. But I would advise that for ATS resume, capture your skill sets at the top first. Capture your skill sets at the top so that they can actually see that, okay, you have the skill sets and what have you before you move to your work experience. Then you can now move to your leadership experience or any other things that you want to add. But these are actually the components of an ATS resume. We have action verbs, we have soft skills, we have impact metric, we have the impact statement before the numbers, we have the hard skills, and we have the headers, right? All these things I will explain to you. Okay, don't worry, we are here together, Abby. Together, and I'm also running out of time, so don't worry. So all these things that we need to look into. So for your action verbs, soft skills, impact metric, I'll explain to you. As you can see here, you can see that this is red, right? That means that is an action verb. Okay. Then we have soft skills here. Then we have hard skills here. Are we following through? Okay, let me just hear your voice to say yes, 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 yes. Let me hear your voice. I'm not getting a yes, so can I get a yes? Let me just hear your voice.
They are responding.
All right. All right. All right. All right. I hope you're all learning a lot. Okay. So for this, you could see different colors. So like this one, or this research, what do we call this? That's action verb, right? I will explain to you. Don't worry. This yellow color, what does it represent? Soft skills, right? Okay. Then this go to market, what does it represent? Hard skills, right? Then this sand color, what does it represent? That's the impact statement before the numbers. Then this green color, what does it represent? Impact metric. I see you need to understand all these features very well. Don't worry. Calm down. I'll explain. Okay, so based on what we have here, you could see that I've highlighted everything out. So for the headers, this is actually the header. The header is what captures the information, that's your LinkedIn link, your email, that. Okay. Then for education too, which is at the top, you could see that I've explained that already to you. Now for action verb, you could see this is pointing to create. Okay. For the ask case, this is pointing to this. For impact metrics, this is pointing to this. For CIAN, I've also explained that earlier. And please, you can also look out for these platforms. I think the first one is resume worded, right? So you can look out for this platform. Please, can you pen it down? So we call this job analytics, and we have job scan. So please capture this down, write it down now, please write it down so that after this session, you can check them out, and it is for free. Okay, you can upload your CV and the job description. It will do a fantastic job for you. And of course, you can use job scan as well. These are tools you can use to improve your resume. Okay, these are tools you can use to, in fact, evaluate your resume to see if you are actually well positioned for an ATS screening. So let me go straight to the point to explain this. So for this header now, you can see, make sure you use headers to organize different sections of your resume. Include your contact information, your LinkedIn profile link, and optionally maybe your phone numbers, emails, and a link to your portfolio or personal website. So for you guys that are designers, okay, you can actually add your link, maybe your Behance link or maybe your portfolio link. You can actually add it to it. I remember a friend of mine who reached out to me from Canada, and he told me he needed a graphics guy. I reached out to one of my good guys that have been doing graphics for me, graphic design for a long time. And one of the things I asked him, I just requested for his portfolio link. That was all. And he shared it with me in the space of less than 2 minutes. And I forwarded it to my friend in Canada. And that was it. So we must make sure we are well positioned. You must have strong portfolio, strong platforms, to showcase what you can do. Okay, to showcase what you can do. These things are very important, and make sure it's captured on your resume because it's actually going to go, it's going to go fast. So you need to capture it very well. Now, for your education, what we have here, it includes details about your educational background, such as your institution, your location, and okay, I'll provide a link to your link. So don't worry about that. What we should look at is your CGPA. Okay, I think I captured this information. Your CGPA, which is above 3.5, and you can also add information about your relevant coursework if you lack specific job-related experience. So you should look at this now. You should look at this information. Just focus here. Include your phone number. Mention your CGPA if it is above 3.5. So like what we have here, mention your CGPA if it's 3.5, and you can also add information about your relevant coursework if you lack maybe specific job-related experience. Then the next thing is the action verb. Now, make sure, I've seen some resumes, they start with, vague words, okay? And we are focused on action, we are focused on accomplishments, right? Accomplishments, what you've accomplished, not your job responsibility or your JD. What you've accomplished. An accomplishment means what? Verb. You've done it. It's an action you've taken already. So make sure that the starting point of your storytelling when it comes to your accomplishments starts with a verb, starts with an action verb. You can see for Snap Inc., like Snapchat, when Jonathan is actually an operations specialist, you can see that everything here starts with red, right? Research. So Jonathan researched user trends to implement go-to-market strategies for a new update called Cheetah, improving user experience and gathering data from queues while increasing customer operation satisfaction rating by 11%. That's an achievement. That's a milestone was able to achieve within that space. So you could see the next one: develop, create, generated, collaborated, analyzed, evaluated, presented. Me saying that alone shows that this person has done something and he did it, with results. So it's result driven, right? So when you want to start your experience, make sure you start with action verb. Use the present tense for current positions and ed form for past roles. So for past roles, you could see that this called Sherwin Williams, they are past roles. You could see that they are in past tense, right? There's ed. Can you see ed? But for present, don't use ed because it's present tense. So he research because yes, he's still doing it, right? He's still doing it. So he research, he develop, he create, he's still doing that. So please take note of that. Okay, take note of that. Make sure that you always start with the action verb, which is actually colored in red. Then the next thing we have here is hard skills. Hard skills. You could see, and almost all these things are implemented. They are infused into your narrative, what you're writing out. So you could see now for the hard skills. Okay, now you should look at it now. Research. Jonathan research user trends to implement go-to-market. Go-to-market. So for go-to-market, it's actually at skill, right? Let's look at for another one. We have another one here. Create and improve operations processes for user inquiries, solving 300 plus customer inquiries weekly through CRM platforms. So hard skills make me understand that, you can use these tools, you can use data, you can use this platform. So, for example, you should check another one here. You see this one, Facebook, Instagram. These are platforms, right? Social media platform. You're making me to understand that you have hard skills in that space. So when it comes to go-to-market data information, you can use it. When it comes to CRM platforms, you can use it. When it comes to usage of Jira, you can use it. When it comes to Excel, PowerPoint, you can use it. When it comes to, you can see that these are hard tools, right? These are tools, but it's talking about your hard skills, right? When it comes to Facebook, Instagram, you guys, so that makes me understand that you already have hard skills. So incorporate specific hard skills and platform-based proficiencies throughout your resume to align with job requirements. List relevant skills, at the bottom and connect them to your experiences where applicable. For example, if you're pursuing a strategy operations role, please highlight skills pertinent to that industry. Then the next thing we'll look out for is your impact metrics. Your impact metrics, you must capture it because we are talking about your accomplishment. You're not talking about your job responsibility now. Every employer is always looking out for the potentials you've been able to earn. They are looking out for your accomplishments. They are looking out for the impacts you've actually made. So one of the things they are looking out for is concrete information, concrete numbers, percentages. These are the things they are actually looking out for. You could see that all the green colors captures numbers. You can see this one, 11%, 10 plus, 300 plus, 15%, 5,000 plus, 16%, 23%. Why? Because it actually measures. It measures what you've done so far. It helps us to see the dexterity of what you've done. The grass work of what you've actually done. It tells us, it explains, because you're writing a story. You explain a story to your employer and they capture it, they analyze it, they evaluate it. So align your achievements using concrete numbers, percentages from your previous positions to demonstrate your impact on the company. And to gather these figures, consider both direct input from your colleagues, managers, and calculated estimate based on your observation. So if you should look at this first line, let's just use this first line. Jonathan research user trends implements go-to-market strategies for a new update called Cheetah. Okay. Improving user experience. So that's actually an achievement, right? He has improved users' experience. Okay, then gathering data from queues by increasing customer operation satisfaction. That is also an accomplishment, but we need to know the extent. We need to measure it. So he increased the customer's operations satisfaction rating by 11%. So maybe before their customer satisfaction rating was 2%, but now he has increased it to 11%. That is a great milestone for Jonathan. But if he didn't capture that, how would I know as a recruiter? How would I know as a potential employer? I won't know. So please, your ATS resume or your resume must be quantified. It must be quantified so that we can know the extent of how much effort you've put in to help the company progress or to even help your department, progress in terms of deliverables. So impact metric is very important for us. We need to make sure that we demonstrate that in our accomplishments. Then for the CN, that's impact statements before the numbers. Impact statement before the numbers. You need to showcase your ability to enhance, optimize, and boost specific aspects relevant to an operations role. Use language that illustrates how you contributed to the organization's success. So, for example, now you could see some keywords here. You could see that, and if you should check impact statements, they come before the impact metric. They always come before the impact metric because they are going to buttress what the impact has actually done. So for here, you could see that he's talking about increasing customer operation satisfaction. That is the impact statement before the numbers. Why the impact metric is 11%. So make sure that your impact statement always comes before the impact metric. Okay, make sure it comes before the impact metric. Or let me say the numbers. You can see, like for example, here we see this one here: increase attendance by 25%. So he has been able to increase the attendance of the organization by 25%. This has buttressed the 25%. Okay, so let's move on. Our time is fast spent. Then let's look at the soft skills. We've highlighted hard skills here. So let's look at the soft skills. So for the soft skills, what we have here is actually colored in yellow, right? It's colored in yellow. Okay. Oh, so I have 7 more minutes. Okay. It's colored in yellow. So incorporate softer and more general statement that demonstrate your ability to collaborate effectively, provide recommendation and identify solutions to potential challenges. Phrase this in a way that showcases your soft skills and communication abilities. So like you could see here, for example, let's look at this number one again. I think I like this number one. You see, Jonathan research user trends. So that to me means Jonathan knows how to use data. And then what else do we have here? Implements. It means Jonathan is an executioner. He knows how to execute projects. So when I give him projects, he can execute them. He can implement them. Let's look at the next thing. Strategies for a new update. Jonathan can actually draft strategies for me. Okay, these are soft skills. So it means he can actually develop more of this. And let's look at the other one. Improving user experience and gathering data from queues. So it means Jonathan could even go the extra miles to gather data. So for me, I've captured a lot of information there already. So for me, I could say that Jonathan goes the extra miles. So if I have him in my team as an employer, he is ready to go the extra miles. If he's well, if I give him the platform for him to operate well, it will definitely go the extra miles. So these are soft skills that I identify. There are lots that you can actually capture. If you look at the second one, this is develop training material and operational workflow for macro language processes. That tells me that he has language skills. He has language skills. He can actually process different languages. So these are soft skills that you should also capture in your resume. You see that it's not easy. This is the difference between a resume that captures your achievements and a resume that captures just your job responsibilities. They are two different ballgame entirely. And that is why positioning yourself in the market space comes with a lot of intentionality. So let's quickly watch this video. And then I think after that, I can wrap up my conversation.
Okay, I don't think you shared your sound with the sharing of screen. We can't hear the sound from the video.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So maybe what I'll do is we will share this. Let me see, can I?
You can just stop sharing. Then while you want to reshare, you check the box for share sound.
Okay. Let me stop sharing. What do I stop sharing now? Doesn't have to stop the share. Okay. Okay. I'm trying to look out for where to stop sharing.
Okay, so just on the slider within the audio video, then you see the share and then stop share. You have to go back to your Zoom platform in case you are just looking at your slide.
Okay. I'm looking at it now.
Okay, you have stopped
So
sharing.
I've stopped your sharing from you.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. So how do I do this now? So I have
So
to, should I go to share settings?
no, so just go back to share, like you want to share your screen.
Okay.
After selecting your presentation, then there's a checkbox to your right saying share sound. A small checkbox to your right.
Oh, I've seen it. I've seen it. I've seen it.
Thank you.
Okay. 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 All right.
So it's not on that slide with the video at the moment.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Please confirm. Can you hear the sound?
Create an ATS-friendly resume
Yes.
so that it
Yes.
scans correctly and is searchable in a recruiter's ATS. So we're going to be using JobScan's Power Edit to
All right. It's
create my ATS-friendly resume, and you can do this manually, but if you want to be serious about optimizing your resume, I would highly recommend using a tool. And the reason why we're using Power Edit is because one, it makes it really easy to make sure my resume has an ATS-friendly format, and two, I found a specific job description that I really want to tailor my resume to. So I'm gonna go ahead and paste that job description in right here. And first off, what we want to do is check the match rate at the top left-hand corner. And don't worry if your number is low. It doesn't mean that your resume sucks and you shouldn't apply for the job. Most resumes that haven't been optimized start in the 30 to 40% range, like mine is right now. So that's totally okay because we can make this resume so much better with Power Edit. So you want to get this match score as close to 75% as possible. We don't want to aim for 100% because over tailoring your resume by just piling a bunch of keywords in can come across as a bit inauthentic. So we just want to avoid doing all of that. So what's really great about this tool is that sometimes I can get writer's block. So let's say I have experience doing this one thing, but I just really cannot find a way to describe it concisely to get my point across. And so all I have to do is just click on one of these keywords and Power Edit will generate a few phrases for you. Once you have the phrases generated, you can click on the one that most aligns with the description or your experience, and then you can paste it anywhere in your resume. Or if the description that it generates isn't a close match and not exactly what your experience entails, you can then go in to edit the text once you've added it into your resume. And whenever you continue to add keywords, you'll see your match rate go up, which is exactly what we want. The next section I want you to pay attention to is the formatting section. This is where you'll find all the checks to see if your resume is ATS friendly or not. And when it comes to ATS friendly formatting, here's what you need to remember. The ATS doesn't like hard to read resumes. So that means if your resume has any crazy fonts, tables, images, headers or footers, these all have to go. So what this section does is it double checks for all the requirements for what it takes to have a resume be ATS friendly. So make sure you're using simple fonts that are standard, that your resume is free of any images, tables, and that your page is set up in an ATS friendly manner with the same margin sizes all around. And we've tested many of the major ATSs out there, so we know how they read text and dates and resume sections, but we also know how they handle certain formatting features like images, tables, and columns. But if you use one of our templates here in Power Edit, you don't have to worry because all of these are verified ATS friendly resume templates. And the last thing we're going to take a look at here is the searchability section. This section is also extremely important because it shares everything you need to know about being searchable in a recruiter's ATS. So to make things more accurate, you can even input the company name and job listing URL. And if Power Edit recognizes which ATS that company uses, it can get even more granular on how to best optimize your resume. But let's take a look here and see the checks that my resume has or what's missing. So it looks like I have everything from contact information. I have a resume summary, which by the way, if you don't have one, Power Edit can generate one for you. I have the dates as well as the education match. And the only thing that is missing is a matching job title. So what Power Edit is telling me is that I should be updating my resume to match the title on the job description, which in our survey, we found that over 50% of recruiters actually filter candidates by job title. So that's really important to take note of. So I'm gonna change my job title up here to the one that's listed on the job description. And of course, don't lie about your current job title, but if it's a case like this one where my resume says social media specialist, but they're hiring for a social media strategist with the same responsibilities, you have a little bit more flexibility there. So those are just a few sections in Power Edit. There's so much more and so many more features to play around with in this tool. But if you just pay attention to these few sections and get your score up to 75%, you'll be ready to apply for that job. So there you have it. That is everything you need to know about applicant tracking systems to make sure your job search is successful. I'll have the basics on ATS.
All right, so did we get that? Did we get that? So that is just like a brief explanation on how to use an ATS software. Okay, so you can check JobStar. I think I shared all the other platforms you can actually use to improve, your ATS format. And if you also want us to do it for you, no problem. You can actually leverage on NECA. NECA for us, don't worry. Maybe you can take the first numbers. I won't specify now so that I don't commit myself. I can do it for free. Okay, so maybe NECA will get across to you all. Then, of course, a portion maybe a number that can actually, we can actually evaluate and, of course, maybe draft their resume for free. So we are doing it for free. Okay, so for LinkedIn optimization, I won't go so much because my time is fast spent already. So Tunde is a graduate, will be anywhere. And if you could see He's a final year graduate, NYC. He's open to data, HR, marketing, and of course, he wants to be a graduate trainee and junior analyst. And of course, who are the people that are actually going to read his profile? That's recruiters, talent acquisition teams, hiring managers, right? So he needs to make sure that his LinkedIn is top notch. So one of the things I would like to, so this is where I'll focus on, and I think I'm going to end it here. So when you look at your LinkedIn, if you've actually opened the LinkedIn before, these are the segments or the sections that you should look out for on your resume, on your LinkedIn rather. You need to look out for the headline, the about. You need to look out for the experience section. You need to look at the featured or proof. You need to look at the skill section. You need to look at the search visibility. You need to look at your engagement as well with maybe recruiters, with people generally. And then you also need to look at the risk assessment and the visual signal. This is actually the structure of get this right. That is it. For your headline, of course, for your headline, at the top, you have your pictures, right? Your image picture segment. You have, you have the picture segment and a brief information about maybe your role, title, and everything. I'll explain everything. Let me just quickly scan through. Okay, so as you can see here, you see that one of the things that likely want to look at for when they come in profile, they'll firstly look at your photo, your headline, and your banner. Your banner is actually that background behind your image. When you go to LinkedIn at the top, there's a banner, right, behind you. And then, of course, it's always in the default setting. Then you have your headline. Your headline is, for example, like what I have here, we have aspirational, professional, hardworking, and passionate. You can be more intentional about that. You can infuse, if you're already working, maybe as a digital skill marketer, you can put a digital skill marketer. You can also infuse some of your skill sets or competencies that you've captured. You can also put it there so that when recruiters are using LinkedIn to source for you or to source for your skill set, they can easily get you. They can easily approach you. They can easily access you on LinkedIn. And of course, your photo. Crop a very professional photo shoot. Make sure that your image is highly professional. Don't just capture anyhow image. Make sure you capture a highly professional photo, or image that you're going to use, for your image section. So these are some of the things that gives the recruiters weak signal. For example, if you look at the header of your LinkedIn, many of these graduates, they will just put aspirational, professional, hardworking, and passionate, open to opportunities. What are you saying now? How can you be telling me you're aspirational, professional? How will that help them to get you or source for you? Or you're telling me you're hardworking. Everybody's hardworking. Everybody's not working smarter. So this is not actually positioning you well. And there are no even there are no keywords that can actually position you well. So if you look at the other side, which is what it should be, you can see for this person, you could see that this person captured entry-level data analyst, Python, SQL, Power BI, turning message data into decision SMS. So that's actually gives the recruiter a strong signal. Or maybe as an HR person, you write HR graduate training candidates, recruitment HRS policy, helping growing teams, and keep the right people. This also helps the recruiter to have a good signal. But if it's this other way around, it won't help, right? You can see this marketing to junior content strategies, copywriting. So this helps me to know that, okay, this person can do this. Once I come to your LinkedIn and I see this, it helps me to identify that, okay, this person, I think I would like to go further to screen this person, to engage this person for my next interview. So when it comes to your role targets, your skill tags, please make sure that it is well captured. Okay. For example, now if you look at this place, I have three questions, that we can actually use to benchmark ourselves. Number one, what role are you targeting? So what role are you targeting? Is it entry-level data analyst? Is it HR graduate training or junior content strategist? Okay, what are the three skills that you need to prove to show that you are actually capable? So you need to look at the tools that you've actually used. You need to look at the methods. You need to look at the frameworks. Okay, something concrete, something that comes with evidence to say that, okay, when they search this, definitely this person has actually been able to exhibit the skill sets within that space. Then what are the outcomes that you've created so far? So all those information you'll be able to use them in your employment segment. So I don't want to waste our time because my time is fast spent already. Okay, so looking at the skill tags, if you check very well, this is actually the generic mix that the person was able to use: communication, Microsoft Word, time management, leadership, problem solving. All these things we can capture it in this. If you scroll down, there's a segment for skills, so you can capture this. But because you also want to specify in terms of the role that you're applying for. So if it is data analyst, you need to capture all that information like Python, SQL, Power BI, exam modeling, pandas, A/B testing. You need to put all those critical competence skill sets, those keywords, you need to put them there. This is just generic, right? These are generic skill sets, but you also need to put competency, skill-based keywords. If it's HR person that you want to be, you're looking out for HR roles, you need to put in like HRS, recruitment, payroll, employee relations, policy drafting. But please make sure these are things that you've actually done or you've practicalized. Please don't capture what you haven't done before. Please make sure you capture what you've actually done, like for marketing, copywriting, SEO, social media, Google Analytics, Canva, email marketing, all these things. When they are searching for you online, they will be able to, on LinkedIn rather, they will be able to, see you. Your names will pop, all your names will pop up on their searching engine. Okay. So what else? So like for your photo and the banner behind the photo and your presence, like what you have here, please make sure you have a recent and sharp headshots. Okay. Let it be plain or maybe have simple background, natural light. Look at the camera and smile softly. Okay. Don't burn your face. Don't squeeze your face. Okay. And then of course, let your outfit, suit the target field. If you're an engineer, you can have a picture that capture, maybe you have this, your helmet, if you are a medical doctor, portrait in a way that they will be able to identify with you. And of course, with the presence you are actually creating, the world to see. And these are the don'ts. Don't go and put on the sunglasses and capture that as an image. No. Or you have selfie group picture. No. Or maybe it's an AI generated. No. Please make sure it is a well captured photo. Then for your banner, behind, you can leave it plain, or you can look out for something, that comes with a deep reflective meaning that also speaks to what you are doing or what you're looking out for. Okay. If you are an HR person, you can look out for visuals that talks about people management, or people aligned graphics, or HR aligned graphics. Then, put that behind your image. If it's data, you can also do something within that region. And if it is marketing, you can do something within that as well, like the brand style banner with a one tagline that names you specially. So all these things, you need to also understand it very well. I'd love to share my screen. Okay. So let me just wrap up. Let me wrap up. What else? What else? What else? What else? So I think let me just go back to this segment. Yeah, so So what I'll just say is that your headline, get it right. The about section, that gives you the opportunity to talk about yourself, your bio. So make sure you capture a lot. And please make sure that your CV aligns with your LinkedIn. It's not that they'll come to your LinkedIn, they'll see something else, they'll see your resume is something different. Then your experience, capture it very well, just like we discussed about it for the CV and resume. Capture it well on your experience segment. Then for feature, you got an award, you have the picture. Please feature it on your LinkedIn. There's a column, I think on top of the experience, there's a column for that. Feature your experience. I mean your awards, projects, feature them. You have links, feature them, please. All these things, the recruiters can check them out. I've spoken about the skills. Make sure you capture both technical and soft skills, okay? Then for your set visibility, make sure that there are lots of keywords, at the back end that you need to get right, so that you can highly be visible, when it comes to recruiters looking out for you. What else again? Then engagement, please make sure you engage, position yourself. There are a lot of things you can do. You are a fresh graduate. There are things you can start doing, on LinkedIn. You can talk about your skill set. You can talk about your experience at your workplace. You can talk about different things to start positioning you for visibility. Because LinkedIn, you have to be well positioned for visibility. Make sure you're around, the direction of the road that you're looking out for. So engagement is also very important. Don't just create a profile and that is it. No, it doesn't work that way. You need to also engage. You need to like. You need to comment on other people's, contribution on LinkedIn. So I think I'm going to stop here now so that there can be more room to ask questions. Thank you very much for listening to me. I hope I didn't bore you. I've been able to convince you that it's very ideal for us to have, a very, very, solid resume, CV, and of course, a good LinkedIn profile. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Michael. I can see the emojis. You can use the reaction buttons if you appreciate him for this. It's really a masterclass and it was an interesting one. I also learned a lot. Thank you. Thank you for that session. We learned a lot about, the difference between the CV and the resume and, the information you need to have on your CV and the way you should structure it, and also about strategic job application. Ensure that you don't just apply to any job openings out there. Ensure that you're strategic about it. And then also the ATS, the friendly format for ATS as regards your CV and the application that you can also use to review your CV. And he also gave the option of, helping one or two to review their CVs. Thank you so much, sir. We really appreciate you. Because of time, we'll take only one question. So if you have a question that he hasn't attended to, you can just use the raise hand option and I'll call upon the very first person that does that. If you have a question that he has not treated, please raise your hand and I'll give you the opportunity to ask that question. Okay, so the first person on my list, we said you should use your full name. I don't know if I should disqualify you because you are not using your full name. First Cardiology, is that your name? Please go ahead with your question. First Cardiology, tell us your name and go ahead straight to your question because of time. Thank you.
Yes. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Okay.
Good morning.
Yes.
Good morning.
Okay, sorry, good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, so sorry for my name. My name is Mudashiru Lawa. Actually, Mr. Michael, you might not remember. Nice meeting you again on this last one. In fact, thank you so much for doing justice. In fact, please, I want to ask, let me go straight to the point. The software for this ETS, is it easily accessible? So that's just my question.
Yes, it is. It is. It is. That's why I mentioned that we should just capture it. It's easily accessible. It's easily accessible.
All right.
I think we have 3 of them. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
that.
sir.
And I'm sure you
Thank you.
captured the names of the one he
Mhm.
pointed out that you can easily access. Thank
Yeah.
you. So because that question was very brief, I'll take one more. Arinze Chidi, please go ahead with your question. And that will be the final question for this segment. If you have questions, you can still drop in the chat box and we can pick it up from there. Arinze, are you with us? Please go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, I'm with you. Good morning.
All right.
Morning.
Okay. Our protocols duly observed. My question is quite simple. I want to ask if age is there a factor when it comes to employment? I'll give you a scenario. What I'm about to narrate happened recently. When I got called
Mr.
by
Arize, can you make it brief because of time?
I'm going to make it simple. It's just I'm just 1 2 seconds. Okay, I
Okay.
was called up by an organization and in that conversation they confirmed to me that I met all the required positions, sorry, all the required conditions for the job role. And then, but the reason for calling was for them to confirm whether I am below the age of 30 and 30, sorry, 35, whether I'm within the age bracket of 30 and 35. That's one of the requirements of the employer. So on that note, I am prompted to ask if it is the job experience.
Okay, we can't
Are
hear
you still
you.
there?
Okay.
Lost you. Oh,
Okay, I
didn't get the
guess the
question complete.
question is as regards age and different employers, if age is a restriction to getting employed.
So it's not every employer. So we need to, that's why I mentioned that you need to understand the instructions and the requirements of the role before you even apply for it. If, for example, it's going maybe like a special project by the organization, maybe like a graduate training project, and maybe there are, for them to come up with that project, there are lots of things they've looked internally. Maybe looking at the organogram, the evaluation of the demography of the team or the workforce. Maybe they have a lot of boomers, and they want to blend in fresh graduates. I mean, maybe it's a certain age. So there's a lot of decisions that have been made behind, which actually showcases itself in most of these recruitment, or let me say these job opportunities that we get out there. So maybe one of the things they're looking out for is they are looking at the age demography, and they have a lot of older people who are going to resign, or maybe they are going to retire rather. So they need fresh people to come in, retain that information, and for them, they're looking at, okay, maybe certain age. So if that is the context, and you are in that age bracket, you may not actually be favored. So it's not all the employers that do that, It's actually based on some stringent purpose, as to why they actually want that certain number of age. There are different roles, opportunities, whereby it's not about age, it's about your capacity, your competence, and what have you. So you just need to look out for all those opportunities that do not box you within the age bracket. But from what I've discovered, most of these roles that request for age bracket is based on some internal demographic research that they've actually done, and they're trying to make sure that the workforce is fully agile and it is well balanced internally. So there's a lot of decisions which most we graduates don't know. Okay, so we just assume that, why are they just stratifying this to just certain age or what have you? No, there are lots of key information internally that they have deliberated on to be able to capture that. And it's not all rules. No, it's not all rules. It's just few of them that you could actually see such cases. And it is actually intentional to be able to capture what they needed to, to actually to actually achieve, internally based on their strategy. So all those things comes from the point of research internally and strategy, not maybe for a reason of just ruling out everybody. No, it comes from the point of internal strategy.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Michael, for taking out
Thank you.
time and contributing to the success of this job fair. Thank you for the wonderful session. We appreciate you. On behalf of
Thank
NECA, I
you.
say thank you. And on that note, we move on to the next session, Remember, while we're doing the opening, we mentioned that you don't need to be seated for too long. You can always move around your room. And because we don't want to keep you past the particular time, we won't be able to take too much questions. But after this second session, we'll still have opportunity to ask more questions. So please enjoy the next session. And taking us through the next session, where we'll be discussing acing interviews, common questions, body language, and how to shine during interviews. You'll be meeting some employers tomorrow. So please look out and make sure you are attentive so that you get tips that will help you to perform while meeting the employers tomorrow at the job fair. And taking us through that session is Mrs. NECA Anelli. She's a director at the Workforce Outsourcing. She's a seasoned human resource professional with over 20 years of progressive experience across multiple industries, including professional services, pharmaceuticals, financial services, real estate, and not-for-profit sector. She currently leads the outsourcing business at Workforce Group, where she provides strategic oversight across talent acquisitions, workforce strategy, people operations, payroll compliance, background verification, and client relationship management. She's highly skilled in partnering with senior leadership to design and implement scalable workforce models, drive operational excellence, and align people's strategies with organizational goals. Combining strong HR expertise with commercial acumen, Madam Ineka has proven track record of growing HR services offerings, strengthening client partnerships, and delivering measurable business impact while ensuring regulatory compliance and service quality. A trusted advisor and effective change leader, she excels at translating strategic vision into practical outcomes and fostering long-term value through tailored HR solutions. Madam Ineka holds B Pharmaceutical Honors and an MBA and a master's degree in employment and labor studies from the University of Lagos, Greatest Akokite. She's a fellow of the CIPM and a member of NIM and a SHRM certified professional, as well as a passionate public speaker and facilitator. I know with this profile of her, a lot of you have heard about Workforce. I'm sure you've gone for 1 or 2 interviews or engagements with them. I know you're in the right hands, and she'll give us those tips that you need to ensure that you ace your interviews. And on that note, I'll hand over to you, Madam Ineka. You're welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Yemisi. Thank you very much, NECA. I'd like to first say thank you to NECA for this opportunity to speak to colleagues and colleagues to be very soon. So I would like to first congratulate NECA on the successful preparation. I know there's going to be a success tomorrow, beginning to the Career and Job Employability Fair, starting today and then holding tomorrow. All right, so I won't take too much time, and well done to my colleague, Michael. I listened to part of his presentation, fantastic one, and I'm sure I could see so many hands up. So Michael has laid the foundation, and I'll just take over from where Michael has spoken. So thank you very much, Michael, and well done. Good morning, everybody. I've been introduced. My name is NECA Inelli, as been introduced. I will not take much time so that I can dive quickly into the topic for the day. Let me just share my screen. Just a minute, please. All right. Confirm you can see my screen, please.
Yes, we can.
Okay, I'll change to slideshow. Just a minute, please. Okay, is it on slideshow now?
Yes, it is.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much, MC. Okay, good morning, everybody, again. Fantastic foundation laid by my colleague, Michael. Michael is my colleague. We are in the profession together, and we've been on, we're on the panel together, committee together yesterday. So it's fantastic. Last year, so it's good to be here. Now we're talking about acing interviews. Acing interviews. Like MC said, a lot of you are going to have the opportunity to be interviewed tomorrow. You might not be interviewed tomorrow, but you might be interviewed later as a fallout of tomorrow's interaction with the employers. So want to look at how do I prepare? I'm sure some of you can attest to the fact that I've gone for like 3 interviews or 5 interviews or 10 interviews. And at the end of the day, they will tell me, you just see that rejection email, your heart to just sink. I hope somebody can relate here. We cannot relate, okay? So sometimes, you go and you wonder, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? So we look at common questions, body language, and how to shine. We want to say how to shine at the interviews, all right? So I was saying, have you ever been in an interview? And I'm just asking, in the chat box, let's make interactive. So just answer in the chat box, yes, yes. Have you ever left an interview knowing that you could have done better? But what exactly one went? I prepared for this interview now. I did all the things that, I read, normally now there's AI, so we can prepare for interviews using AI. You prepared, you did that, so what went wrong? You don't know, you got that rejection email. How many of you can relate? In the chat, just see your yes. Sure, you can relate to, okay? So I'm wondering what went wrong. What went wrong? Okay? Confirm if you can hear me. I think the internet is a bit okay. Confirm if you can please hear me, see?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, so we're just going to be looking at this, want to understand what interviewers are really assessing. Now, Michael has talked about the LinkedIn profile. He's talked about that. So what are interviews looking at beyond your CV? We're going to talk about how to prepare strategically so you don't rely on guesswork. We're going to apply practical steps before, during, and even after the interview so that you can improve outcomes and those rejection emails can stop coming and you can get an acceptance email, right? We're going to look at how to answer interview questions with clarity, with structure, and with confidence, and then how to avoid the most common mistakes the candidates make. I think Michael touched on a few of these, so I would not, I'll skip on over some, but let's make it as practical as possible. Now, looking at it generally, most times, if you find out as a candidate, you perform strongly. If you maybe did psychometric assessments, they gave you maybe entry-level assessment, any form of assessment, you 95, you have scored very high marks, but you get to the interview stage and then they now drop you or drop that person at the second or third stage of the interview. I'm wondering what went wrong. Is it a weak structure of responses? Maybe there's limited clarity, or your delivery wasn't just, you didn't just hit it. Okay. Now, most of the time, when people ask you questions, I think I heard Michael talking about that. When interviewers ask you questions or panels ask you questions, what they require is that for your answers to be concise, straight to the point. EMC was saying during the Q&A, say, please make it straight to the point. Okay, make it short. Impact-driven answers. Make sure your answers carry, they are impactful and that they clearly demonstrate your capability and results. So remember one thing, if you remember that success normally, it depends on how you as a candidate communicates during your interview process. How structured are your responses? How confident are you when you go for those interviews? Even your body language. How confident do you appear? What presence do you bring into the room? Okay. And just to let you know that most of the time employers assess, it's not just what you say. Sometimes you can be the most intelligent person, but you wonder, how come I did not get it? Well, it depends on did you deliver that content, that response. So I'm going to tell you as an interviewer too, and as a recruiter, I'm just going to give you a few practical tips. The market now is competitive. Everybody, there's skills-driven mindset. There's something we used to say. People will say, there are no jobs in the market. There are no jobs in town, no jobs in Nigeria. How many people can relate? Do you say it also? And I say, no, there are jobs, right? Which is why it's a fantastic job NECA is doing with this job and employability fair. By creating that connect, some people don't know where to look for the jobs. Some employers are looking for candidates and they don't even know where to find those candidates. So it's a fantastic, fantastic initiative that NECA has done. I've been on, with NECA for a while on this, and I feel that it's a very honorable initiative, and kudos to NECA. So the market is competitive. The labor market is competitive. It's now driven by skills. So you must, as a candidate, demonstrate not just competence, but practical competence. Most employers are looking for people that can hit the ground running. There's not much time to train people like that again. Honestly, I wish there was, but most people are looking for, I need someone that can hit the ground running. Are you okay? Even if you are going to be trained, your learning activity has to be fast. So that, because I want you to translate what you know, your knowledge, your experience into clear value. Most employers now, most organizations now are fast-paced because the economy is even tough. So as the way we are feeling it as employees is the same way the employers are feeling it. They are paying for diesel, they are, costs have gone up, running costs, operating costs. So they're also looking for people that will deliver value and help their bottom line grow. So Let's look at how to fix your CV. And like I said, I'm not going to really go over what Michael has said. He did a fantastic job. I was in the session, part of the session. So please hold on to that. I'm sure you took a lot of notes. I'm just going to touch on a few things on how to fix your CV to ace your interview. That just talk about how critical is your CV. He's talked about the contents. He's talked about how to, he's shown you, I like that where he was showing you a typical sample CV and showing you, certain areas and how to fix those areas. So I'm not going to be talking on that. Let me talk about how critical is your CV even before the interview. All right. Now let's look at the CV. Now, why is it so critical? Okay, because it's that CV that gets you the interview. You're not there. It's not like you're there to say, my name is NECA. I'm applying for this job because I can do that. You submit your CV. So it's that CV that will make them invite you. It's what they see on your CV. All right. It's that CV that shapes expectations of interview even before you speak. It's that CV that creates a first impression on paper. You're not there. You're not there to, they can't see you. Yeah, some people put their photographs on the CV, but beyond that is what is in the content, like Michael has shown us. Is that CV that determines the kind of questions you will be asked. If you interview with me, make sure your CV, you are speaking to your CV. I will look at your CV and ask you questions based on your CV. Is that CV that will position you even before you have the interview, either as a strong candidate or a risky one? I can tell you for free, most times interviewers or recruiters, they look at your CV even before you come, even if they invite you for the interview, they'll say, okay. But sometimes they say, I want to see this candidate. This candidate CV is speaking what I want, speaking value. Okay. Some they will just say, okay, just invite me. Let's just see what he or she has to offer. That's when you're on borderline. But when they are saying, I want to, so if you're one of those strong candidates that they've said, just based on your CV, I want to see, they will tell the recruiter, please put this person as one of the people I want to see because I want to hear this person. Please don't, as they say in Palace, don't fall their hand. Make sure that as your CV is strong, your delivery is also strong during the interview. Okay, because if your CV is weak, already you're at a disadvantage. Like I said, I said sometimes as a recruiter, from what you've submitted, they might look at them, okay, let's just, in fact, sometimes it may take convincing if it's a panel. Then let's just see this person. Let's not look at the CV. The CV may know. I know how to put the CV together, but after Michael's session, nobody here should say they did not put together a good CV, all right, or a fantastic CV. But sometimes people, because they don't know, because they've not attended this session, that Michael just had, they will just put together one CV, just management CV. You know what I mean by management in quotes. So those are kind of people that when they look, they say, okay, maybe we don't have enough people. Let's just add him or add her. Let's see if he has anything to deliver. Now, I'm not saying that the CV always. Sometimes some people now deliver and they're like, wow, this person just didn't put together a good CV, but this person is a fantastic candidate. But please, it's for your chances. It's better to make sure your CV speaks even before you get into the room. All right? Let's look at some of the common mistakes, CV mistakes. Like I said, I'm not going over what Michael said, but I'm just going to quickly just run through, what are some of the mistakes that we can see when I'm talking as an interviewer, I'm talking as a recruiter, as a hiring manager. All right, what are things that affect your interview? Sometimes you list responsibility without results. I know he's talked about that. You include irrelevant or outdated experience, use generic overused phrases, your formatting, look and feel. See, we are all very visual people. Human beings, we are visual. So we look at the CV, wow, this CV looks beautiful. Okay, even before looking at it, even before reading the contents, they look at your CV. The formatting is good. The look and feel is good. It's very professionally, done. It's well put together. It's not too wordy. They want to speak with you. You don't share clear achievements. Those are just one of the things, like I said, that Michael has. I don't want to go, over everything, false information and all that. So results that you get interviews, but you struggle to stand out when your CV is not well put together. All right. So what makes your CV strong? We talked about that. It's clear, it's relevant, it's results focused, it's structured. So he's told you how to switch from say I was responsible for, my day-to-day activities involved. No, what did you achieve? Okay. Your CV should show clear achievements. So your CV is your script. Your interview is a performance. All right. Now let's go into the interview. So you've gotten a fantastic CV. You've attended the session with Michael. You've gone to you want to optimize your CV after this session. I'm sure after today, some of you are going to go back and optimize that CV. You're going to update your CV. Now you've gotten the interview. They say, how do you shine? What should you be doing before the interview? That most candidates overlook. All right. So congratulations. Let me start from that. You have just received an email. It's not a rejection email this time. No, is an email inviting for an interview. Hallelujah. You know how it is. You go and give testimony in church. Hallelujah. You call your friend, call your family. Finally, I don't have rejection email. I have an email inviting me for an interview with, let me not mention any company, XYZ company, one of the top companies I've been applying to. So you've said send an acceptance, you said, okay, yes, you responded to the email. Thank you very much for this. I'll be available for the job interview by 2 p.m. as scheduled. You sent in that your acceptance and availability. So what do you do next? What do you do next? You just put down that email, shut down your laptop, or close your phone, and for that day? No. You start to research, you prepare, and you practice. I call it RPP. You research, you prepare for the interview, and you practice. Don't go into an interview unprepared. Please, tomorrow, I think if you check social media, NECA has been sending out some of the options that are going to be at the session tomorrow, at the fair tomorrow. Start looking at some, you might say 3, 4, 5 that you want to meet with. And who knows, you might just get an interview opportunity tomorrow. So start researching the different companies, find the ones that you are targeting. But now you have an interview. So you go and research. First thing you must do is research. Now, what do you do in your research? Now, you conduct a research on the company, right? Sometimes we just gloss over. You can go online some of us, because we don't like to read too much. We just go to the About Us page. Okay, the About Us page is like maybe how many paragraphs? They will just give you 2, 3, 4 paragraphs. Just a general overview of the company. No, please don't stop there. Don't forget, you've been trying to get a job with this company, all right? So you go beyond the About Us page. You go and look at what are the recent projects that this company has embarked upon. Any achievements, anything in the news? Let me give an example. Okay, I'll just mention this bank. It's not that I'm listening. Premium Trust Bank. Recently, they tripled their profits, all right? They tripled their profit, their 2024 performance and profit, right? That was in the news. So imagine you have an interview with Premium Trust Bank. Shouldn't you? One of the things you should be highlighting is that you really went to research their company. You are really interested in their company. It's going beyond just saying, I know the bank is a commercial bank. It's going into that. Yes, I'm really interested. You also research on their products, their services, their target markets, so that you're speaking intelligently about their company. Don't just say, well, I know it's a bank. I just mentioned Premium Trust, please. Just came to my head. It's not that any particular, there are different companies that have achieved different things in recent times. Look at, don't just say, oh, I know that they do banking services. What kind of banking services? You should mention what kind of accounts do they have. Oh, I know they have 2, 3, this kind of accounts. If it's a non-interest bank that you're interviewing for, imagine you're interviewing for an alt bank or a Lotus, and you don't know that they're a non-interest bank, Islamic bank, they're into non-interest banking. Then you already started your failure, this thing. So you must know what are the products they have specifically. So when you're researching, if you can't find of course you find on their website, but you still go beyond their website and just read up about the company. What are their values? What are their culture? Some companies have acronyms for their values. You should be able to say the acronym. A, R, B, C, D. A means this, R means this, and they know that you are really interested. You look at their key people. Who is the chairman? Who is the CEO? Who are the EDs? Who are the executives? The hiring manager too. Somebody has invited you. Which, if you are aware, if then you know that this is the person or this is the department or thing. You gotta look at, okay, this is this person, So it's important that you research properly, okay? So you're able to speak specifically about the company, not generically. Because if you just speak generically, I know it's a bank operating in Lagos. I think they have 5 branches. They don't look at that. This person is not looking for any job. But if you are looking specifically for a job with them, you can say the number of branches they have. You can, like I said, key achievements. If it's I'm not saying necessarily, but I'm just saying any organization. Oh, you have 5 offices in the different geopolitical zones of Nigeria. You're in your Kano, this thing, you achieved this, or you just opened a new office in this, or you are planning to launch a new product in the market. Then they will know that, yes, you are really, really interested in their company. Okay? Now, I said it's RPP, right? So you research first. Second thing is that you're preparing. A lot of people do not prepare adequately again for interviews. I'm an interviewer, I'm a recruiter. Always. I don't know what's going on. Maybe we're on the fast lane, but a lot of people don't prepare adequately. And when I'm talking of preparation, you're preparing your environment, you're preparing your presence, okay? You prepare adequately. First, you start from your dressing. You dress professionally. Please don't say whether it's virtual or physical. You dress professionally. Look, I've been in interview, and I'll go to when I go to my do's and don'ts. I will talk about some real life examples that I've witnessed and what happened. Then you prepare your outfit in advance. In those days when some of us, I'm not that old though, but when some of us were starting career, right? White shirts. I'm not the men. I remember one interview I went for somewhere in Lagos, I would say Lagos Island. And I saw the guy running. He did not buy the place. You pass what do they call that area where they sell men's things? Forgotten the area. He quickly stopped, bought a tie. I was looking, I wasn't at co-op, all going for the same company. He bought a tie from the man that did this thing, knotted the tie quickly. He was this thing. He quickly put on a jacket. That's how we used to dress for interviews. But these days, some people just come casually, except even if the job is the job, even if it's entertainment where you don't really suit up, dress up. You don't have to wear crazy jeans because they say, oh, you can dress, dress down. No, make sure your jeans are still, nice and professional, right? Prepare your outfit in advance. Test your internet connection. If it's virtual, your camera, your microphone, at least an hour before anything can happen. Okay, internet, you know how internet goes. So if you need to have backup, you can quickly have backup. Not that during this thing, start saying, hello, I can't hear you. I can hear you. It happens a lot. All right. Ensure you have good lighting and your background is clean. Don't be in a place where, there are all sorts of clutter. Look for a nice place and just position your system or where you're going. And please arrive early. Or if you're going to log in early. So when you prepare, it reduces avoidable mistakes. If you are going for an interview scheduled for 10 a.m., at least be there, in fact, sometimes 9:30, so that, sometimes some organizations, before you will sign in at the gates, before the security will allow you past the gates, another 15 minutes have passed. Before you get to reception too will tell you, we are checking this, we are checking that, under 15 minutes has passed. So please arrive early. So you make room for, all those things. And make sure you locate the place. If it's a physical interview, if you don't know the place, please go and locate the place before that day. It's not that day you now start turning around and around and you say, is this street? No, please prepare early. I'm just from some of the common mistakes that we see that candidates make, even as recruiters. All right. So now you've gotten there, you've prepared. Now, what matters once the interview begins? If you are still with me, can I say in the chat box a yes? I want to know that you are with me, please. Are you still with me? A yes in the chat box. Yeah. Can I say a yes? If not, I mean, you're no longer following. Yes. In the chat box. I'm checking. All right. I just want to know that you are still with me. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. So let's go to when the interview begins. Now you are there. Okay? You have entered now because of these days after COVID, most things became virtual. But now some people are trying to bring people because we found that there were mistakes. You do a virtual interview, start to finish. Then the person resumes. I'm not saying that everybody is beautiful and wonderfully made, but maybe the person just doesn't fit the culture. Or the person, there's just something and say, we should have done a proper physical interview. Not that they are discriminating, but they are just different, they are different cultures. All right. So everybody likes to meet one-on-one now, and not just for the look and feel. Also, there are certain things that you can get when you're speaking to somebody one-on-one that when the person hiding behind the screen, you can't get. And I'm telling you, these are things that we observe. Okay. So now the interview is beginning. What matters? All right. First, your communication. So first you go into the interview hall. You can see the picture. You greet politely. Good morning, madam. Good morning, sir. And don't sit down before they tell you to sit down. All right? Please, don't just sit the chair and sit down. Stand up. And they say, no, you can have a seat, then you please sit down. Right? Now, because a lot of us, when we have interviews, there's anxiety. We start, our hearts start beating. You are panicking even before you get there. So there's pressure, right? And I'm not saying a bit too, there's pressure even at this level. Because you go for an interview, you're already anxious. You are having, panic attacks. So please first calm down. Okay, calm down. All right? Because so you need to communicate effectively. There's pressure when to communicate effectively. So you greet them. Once it's time to sit down, don't sit down. If it's a panel, greet everybody on the panel. If it's one person, greet the person. Once the person says, please, you can have the seat, then you will have the seat. Then interview starts, right? Please always be careful to listen before you answer. Don't assume, okay, the person has started saying, now say, okay, yes, let the person get to the end. Let the interviewer get to the end of his or her question before you answer. If you don't understand the question or you didn't hear what it's okay to say, sorry, please, can you go over the question again? It's okay. Interviewers are not wicked people. Okay, they are just there's something. Yeah, they're not. Sometimes they might look very mean. They're not looking at you. Don't be scared. They're not. They're also looking for candidates. Let me tell you. So it's a joint. It's a it's a two-way street. So they're not trying to discourage. They're not trying to disqualify you before the interview, but they want to hear you. So please don't be afraid of hiring managers or recruiters or interviewers or the panel, right? Listen carefully. If you didn't hear the question well, feel free to ask. Ask politely. Excuse me, sorry, I didn't hear you. Can you please go over the question again? And they will go over it again. All right. And then please pause briefly to think about your response. Don't just jump into a response and then go on the wrong way. All right. Structure your response before you speak. I'm not saying you should take all the time, but in your head, put together everything, then you can answer. Then be concise. Avoid over. Say too much talk. When you talk too much, you put yourself in trouble. The question they asked you, just answer it. Don't go and say extra, extra, extra. Then you will now enter one chance. Then they will not take your, we as interviewers, we are very, we don't be looking at you. You will talk, talk, talk. When you go and talk, we now don't pick maybe the last thing. One thing you said that will not take you up on that. So don't over explain, just say the answer. And as much as possible, to show your contribution, use I. Don't forget, you are the one being interviewed, not your team. If you're already working. I was recently interviewing somebody, and the person was saying, the team. I said, no. So what was your own contribution to that, that impact or that value? Let's imagine we're interviewing and you say, oh, we made 500 million profits or revenue or something, right? We made, okay, good. That way, how many of you are that way? 10 of us in that team. Okay, out of the 10, you, NECA, what was your contribution out of that 500 million? What did you contribute? This is what interviewers want to hear. It's not your team that is being interviewed, remember, it's you. All right. So please be careful to show your contribution, your own contribution personally to anything that has any value that you're communicating. All right. So I think Michael talked to me about this. Now, what is really being assessed? Okay. When we're interviewing, when you are in an interview session, either a panel session or just one-on-one interview, I can tell you, every question that is being asked, there is an underlying thing that we are looking for. And I'm telling you practically now. I was on an interview session yesterday, so I'm not telling you something that I don't do. I'm not this thing, and I'm on the other side, right? Interviewing people. Every question we ask you, even from introduce yourself, tell me about yourself. It's not just there's something we are looking for. All right. There's an answer. They say the answer that is not spoken, the unspoken answer is there. All right. So if the interviewer asks you, can you do the job? What they're looking for is what skills do you have? Are you competent enough? What are your problem solving skills? Can you solve problems without being micromanaged? So that's part of what you're looking for. If you say, will you do the job well here? You're looking at, this person be motivated, or we have to push this person before he does any job. Well, this person have a good attitude. Now we say, in HR, we say you hire for attitude, right? And you can train for skills. Because they say it's easy for people, you can train people if the person has the wrong attitude. Like say you can take a camel to the water, but you cannot force it to drink. So if somebody has a wrong attitude, and people interviewers are looking for, this person have a right attitude towards work. Is this person a right fit? Okay. So if can we trust your judgment? They're looking for what do you have an ownership mindset? What's your decision making? What are your decision making skills like? Do you have the right ethics, work ethics? What's your maturity level like? If they're asking you, will you improve the team? Most of the time they say, if you are found successful, What value will you add to the team? You know, do you know that you hear that question? What we are looking for, what's the level of emotional intelligence? How good a collaborator are you? Are you somebody who is a team player, or you're somebody who would scatter the team? It's like, please don't come and scatter the one we already have. Okay. So we are looking, so there's always an answer beyond the question that's been asked. All right. Yes, we want to hear the response, but we are looking at something beyond your response. Okay. But please, I said, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. There's no perfect candidate. No matter we can say, this candidate was the best candidate. There are still going to be some one or two lapses. So it's not like you're going to perform to perfection, but at least you make it easy. Okay, sorry, make it easier for the interviewer to at least know, look what you can do. All right. So, but please make sure that you are trying to ace. Don't forget, you want to ace that interview. You want to be the one that is the star candidate that they're saying, please call that person. I must. In fact, if it's a panel and there are different departments, they will all be fighting for you. That is what you want to do. You want to stand out during your interviews. All right. I hope I'm still communicating. I like to hear that I'm still in touch with everybody. Yes. Yes. If you can relate, say I can relate in the chat box. I just like to hear from you people. I can relate. Yes, thank you. Good, awesome. Thank you for the responses. Awesome, awesome. Because I want to see you tomorrow, and I want to hear that I've gotten that job. I was interviewed, or they invited you for an interview later. Please don't fall my hand, as they say. Don't fall my hand, as we say, right? Okay, now let's talk about Michael talked about your CV, the physical CV, and you talk about your LinkedIn profile. Let's talk about that invisible CV. Okay? Body language. That is a secret. It's a secret. Once you walk, if it's a physical interview, once you walk into the room and they look at you, a perception is already formed in the mind of the recruiters or the hiring manager. We are human beings, honestly. We try not to be biased, but honestly speaking, we are humans. There is a perception. As you walk in, they first evaluate you. They look at you head to toe. They might not look at you, but look at you this thing. But trust me, they look at your dressing, your comportment. They've looked at that first. Okay. Then you now start to speak. You are being evaluated even before you speak, right? Then you now start to speak because your body communicates. The body language you are speaking, before you even begin to speak, your body is speaking. You know what I mean? If you come in with a haughty look, there's a very thin line between being confident and being arrogant. Some people say, I'm just confident, but your look is shouting arrogance. Sometimes you walk into it as if, look at the interview. Especially, when you're an experienced hire, sometimes, who are these people on the panel? Be careful. They are the ones going to determine if you get that or not. All right. So your body language is very important. If you have a poor body language, even if you have the strongest answers, because you put the people off. If you have a wrong attitude, that is, your body language is wreaking a wrong attitude. It can undermine even your strongest answers. So your body language should show confidence. But I said not arrogance. Remember, confidence. Have an upright posture. When you sit uprightly. Okay. Now, whether it's physical or virtual, you sit uprightly, maintain steady eye contact. Don't stare at your interviewer. That's creepy. Maintain steady eye contact. And when you walk in, if the interviewer puts out his hand or her hand to shake, then you can shake. If they don't put out their hand, please don't bring out your hand to shake. Eh? Let them be the one to first initiate that they want to shake you. If they want to shake you, they can say, okay, have a seat there. Have a seat. Please don't shake. All right. But if they shake, sure your handshake is firm, not feeble, not weak. Like I said, don't panic. Don't panic. We're not masquerades. We are human beings also. We're also looking for candidates, good candidates. All right. So make sure your handshake signal that you believe in yourself. All right. Be calm. I said be calm. There are times I've been in interview session, we have to offer the candidate water or say, okay, do you want 5 minutes to just calm down? Because the person was tense, afraid. So, we're not wicked here now. Calm down, so please be calm. Because if you're not calm, even if you know the answers, it can mar all the good answers and right answers that you just forget everything. So please be calm, all right? Before you get into the interview hall, breathe deeply so you can compose yourself, all right? Then open gestures, smile genuinely. Don't be frowning. Don't be at the interview and this thing I say, it's perception. No. Please don't frown. Smile. When they ask you a question, nod to show that you are engaged. Don't just be looking. They ask you a question, you just look. No. Show that you can be engaged and you are approachable. All right. So just to still going to the do's and don'ts. All right. You're in an interview. Now I talked about sitting upright. When you sit upright, it signals confidence and energy. Maintain eye contact at least 60 to 7% of the time. Don't stare. Don't stare at your recruiter or hiring. Don't be looking at the person. Please don't do that. It's creepy. In fact, that alone can just they just say this person has I better go. Let's not bring this person in. This person has issues. You know that kind of thing. You'll be surprised at the kind of conversations that go, because or just because of your body language. So please don't stare, but maintain eye contact. If they ask you a question, look at the person. Don't look down. When you look down, it shows that you're not confident or there's something to hide. Look at the person. Oh, thank you very much for that question. And then go on to answer. Okay. Use natural hand gestures. Don't be putting your hand all over. If you are even using hand, just it should be low shoulder level. If you have to, some of us were like that. You can see me, I'm using my hands, but don't put it too high. All right, below shoulder level, and smile genuinely. Don't over smile. Smile in a creepy way. Smile genuinely, especially when you're greeting or when you're talking. Sometimes you're talking about your achievements. Tell them that you're really proud of your achievement. Oh, I exceeded our revenue, but by the time you smile, you know, and then occasionally you nod to show that you are listening. Sometimes I say put in the chat box. Okay, this is open chat before you'll be nodding. When they ask you a question, so yeah, you nod so that they show that you're listening. No, nothing in excess. Don't fidget. Some of us are very fidgety. Our hands we are doing something. No, please put your hands on your table, or if you can't, even if you are a fidgety person, put your hands on your lap. So if you are fidgeting, you will not be showing. When you breathe deeply, remember I said, make sure you calm down. So if you are agitated or you're tense, breathe deeply so you can calm your voice and your face. Please don't slouch. Let me tell you something. I've been an interview partner with a client, and the candidate came in for a professional role. The candidate sat down like this. And I was even rocking the chair, left or right. In fact, my client is very strict man. He didn't even, in fact, he didn't interview the person. Then can you see that please? Thank you. I said, thank you for coming. The guy was wondering. He said, "You are slouching. You are just, the owner of the office now. He was just swinging the chair." It might sound funny. I'm telling you, this is real life. I was on that panel. I felt so bad. I thought, am I going to be prepping an express hire again? The guy just sat down and was, the chair was going left and right. Please don't do that. All right. And then don't slouch. Because when you slouch, it shows low energy or that you're not interested. Don't cross your arms. In an interview, don't do like this. It's as if you're putting off the person. Also, that's that arrogant part. Don't start touching your face. This is why we women, we start flicking our hair. I know this. Don't do that. All right. Don't fidget with the pen. Don't stare. Like I said, don't keep checking your phone. When they're interviewing, checking your phone, it means that they are saying they should hurry up. But you're the one that's looking for a job, bro. So don't ever check your phone or your watch. And when you're leaving, don't give a weak handshake in person. Remember, your CV gets you the interview, but your body language gets you the job. Some people may not be that they might not speak so much, they might not, say so much. But honestly, their body language, the way they are confident, the way they smile, sometimes as recruiters, honestly, just the person's personality just endears us to the person. I'm saying this one is he or she trainable. Yeah, we can train this person, more on the job. Of course, the person will know something. I think the person doesn't know anything, but we can train, the other part we can train. All right. So please be careful. All right. Now, if it's a virtual interview, how do you stand out? I said make sure you test your internet before, at least an hour before. Okay, in case anything is going to happen, check it. I know I was an interview yesterday. Person sorry, we're taking light. And I said, I understand. Don't worry, we're all in Nigeria. They took lights. But imagine if internet goes off. There must be a backup. You know where to sit. Maybe you're in the house or where you are, your office, the signal is stronger at certain parts. Go and stay in those places so that you avoid any issues as much as possible. Avoid checking yourself on screen. It's not a mirror. You're not in an interview to be checking yourself. All right. Speak clearly, maintain focus, minimize distractions. All right. Now the question mark. Now, I said everything that is asked in an interview, there is something underneath that is actually not being asked or they want to know. And these are some examples, all right? The first question is tell me about yourself. But please don't always expect tell me about yourself. An interviewer can come from any angle. They might not even ask you about yourself. So when you're practicing and you say, okay, I'll start from thinking about yourself, then I'll go to this. The person can just derail you and have something on your CV. So please, 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 just prepare anything, right? So when you say, tell me about yourself, what they're really asking is, are you a cultural fit? Can you communicate clearly? Okay. So the 60-second rule, present, past, future, try and cover that quickly. All right. If they ask you, why do you want to work here? Remember, we said research. Remember our RPP? They ask, why do you want to work here? What they're really asking is, did you even research us? Or you're just throwing your CV everywhere? Or you're just applying everywhere? They want people that are interested in the organizations. So I remember I mentioned that you mentioned name a specific project, maybe something in the news, value, a product they're about to launch or they have in the market, their branches or whatever. Speak concisely about the organization. If they ask you, this is one place where people normally fail. Say, what's your greatest weakness? Or what are your weaknesses? Some people will say, I don't have any weakness. No, please, oh. We all have weaknesses now. We're not perfect. Only God that is perfect. We all have weaknesses. So please never ever say you have no weakness. In fact, that shows that they're already lying. All right. What they are looking at is, are you self-aware, emotional intelligence? Are you aware of your strengths, your weaknesses? Then even if you're aware of your weakness, are you actively improving them? So please, when you're answering, now don't mention one strong weakness that can knock you off, but look for a weakness. I mean, you have weaknesses now. But when you mention that you're fixing it, mention the steps you're already taking, and you're already even improving. You've asked one or two people and they say, oh, you're getting, you're improving in this, all right? They try to describe a challenge that you faced. What we're really asking is, can you solve problems? Nobody's looking for an addition to the team that will come and add to the problem. They're looking for problem solvers. So I'll be actually asking, tell us, have you described a challenge you have faced? Tell us a structured story. I'll show you the STAR method of answering that. Then when they say, where do you see yourself in 5 years? They are really asking, are you ambitious? Or will you stay with us? I know in these days of, I don't want to call the generation. There is long service now is like 2 years. We stay like 2 years and they want to jump ship. Okay? But they want to, we're not saying that stay 100 years, stay 30 years, like days of our parents. But at least stay small now. You're not going to stay 6 months, you're already interviewing to go somewhere else, except the places, it is really bad and, there's something but they want to see, are you ambitious and will you stay with us? So please give a direction. Don't give a job title. I've been in an interview before, and we asked the person, where do you see yourself? Was it even 5 years? I think it was 2 years or 3 years, he asked. The person said, I see myself as the CEO of the organization. All of us was the panel. We said, which organization? Which organization? Is it this one? Is it the client you interview? You can't, you want to remove the CEO that is there and become a CEO in 3 years, So please be realistic. Don't give a job title, but give a direction. All right. I want to, so that let us see that you are trying to improve on yourself and you are, aiming for growth, career growth. All right. So those are just some of the examples of, when we ask questions. Now, I said, let's tell me about yourself. What do candidates normally get wrong? Most candidates, tell me about yourself. You start from your childhood. My name is NECA. I was born in this city. I grew up in Pedro Oshomolu. And from Pedro, after I left Pedro, no, we're not looking for all that too. There's no time. And don't forget, most times interviewers, they have time for you. They have an allocated time. Maybe it's 30 minutes you want to interview, or 40 minutes or 20 minutes. So please, don't list all your personal history. Don't go and say everything that's on their CV. Most of the time, you want to hear what's not on your CV. We'll get to your questions. We'll get to your questions. Don't say everything on your CV, okay? What a strong answer should be, discuss your education. If you're looking at your past, I have an MBA. Don't go to what you did in primary school. There's no time. Don't say I went to my primary school, I was the best recent. No, what's the most recent? Or what is one that's relevant to what you're looking for? Your university or postgraduate degree or professional qualification. So talk about that. When you're talking about past, your education, quickly. What relevant experience do you have? What applicable skills have you gained that you can bring to this job? Then your present. Okay, currently, I'm the director of Workforce Outsourcing at Workforce Group. So current engagement. All right. And don't just say this is what I do here. If you're the director, what's that? So as a director, this is what I've done. In the past 6 months, I've been able to show that you have contributed something. I don't want to hear that you are the manager, you are the officer, as the officer, what have you done? So your presence, as the officer, since I took over as the officer, I've been able to contribute this, I've done this, I've generated this revenue, I've sold this, I've brought in how many people, let it be contribute, let them see value. Then your future, how does this role make sense as your next step? Why am I interviewing for this? That's what you should end your about us. I believe that, I'll be a good fit for this role because based on my experience as this, this, I'm going to, I'll be able to add value. I'll be able to help the organization do this. I'll be able to, so they want to see that's your about yourself and make it concise, sharp, sharp, sharp. All right. I hope I'm speaking. I hope some people are relating now. That's one of the common mistakes, like I said. When you talk about your life story, make it too personal. This is an example. My name is Chukwuemeka Odimego. I was born in Enugu. I grew up in a family of 5. I went to primary school at Mbanojike Primary School. Then from there, I moved to Lagos in 1955. Then I went for that's they want to see, we want quick, this is too personal. So the example on the right, and what I say, please don't go over that. All right. Don't repeat what's on your CV. You already had, don't forget, you could already has your CV. So most of the time, so something that is punchy, is catchy, is value adding, that's not on your CV, that maybe you forgot, just put it. All right. Don't say I studied accounting and university is on your CV. I worked at X is on your CV. Yeah, you can talk about where you work, but we are talking about where you work because you want to show what value added there. No, don't go about what's on your CV, except they're asking you that. All right. On that mistake, you're not structured in your response. Don't make it a scattered response. You first start from present, then you move to past, then you move to middle. No. You say, right now I work in HR. Well, before that, I was in sales. I did sales a bit. Then I also did some volunteering during school. And it's scattered. All right, make it coincide and let it be structured. Don't make your answer confusing and unfocused. All right. Now, this is the right way to answer, and I'll just keep it because of time. So if they ask you, you can say I currently work as a customer service representative, achieving a 95% satisfaction rating by resolving issues efficiently, so you can see that 95% satisfaction rating. So you have shown what value added. All right. If you're an HR recruitment, I currently work in recruitment, imagine end-to-end hiring. You can even mention that, in the past, since I joined in the past 6 months, I've been able to close 75 hard to fill roles. I've achieved, put that data. If you're in sales, figures speak. The interview I was in yesterday was a sales interview. And I wanted to hear figures. I want to hear my revenue. I extended my revenue target by 30%. I generated 250 million in 3 months by bringing in 3 high-profile clients. This is what I want to hear. Then I can now start engaging you more. Okay, let's talk about this 30% exceeding your target. How did you do that? Okay, don't just come and tell me that, I'm a very good salesperson. I've been selling from when I was in school. We don't want to hear that. Okay, then, so let's look at a generic template. Say, I currently work as this. So this last line, I'm just trying to tell you what you can say. I currently work as a customer service manager where I achieved 50% or 75% client satisfaction. I don't know, but make sure that you are speaking value when you're introducing yourself. All right, you are speaking value. If you are interviewing for a sales role, a business development role, please, marketing, please put data. And when I'm talking of data, I'm talking of revenue data that speaks. All right. Now, also there's what we call CBI, what we call competency-based interview. All right. Not like the behavioral interview. It's a common interview method that interviewers use to assess your past actions, just how well you will perform. Because we want to look at what have you done in the past. That will give us an indication of what you can do if you join us. Now, examples of questions are asked in CBI. You can say, tell me about a time when you worked as part of a team to successfully execute a project. Or you can say, what is the project that you're most proud of? If you are the one that did that project, you achieved so much, you will be very proud to talk about it. And please, don't forget, it's not a we. It's an I. I led a team we had this project that, was very difficult. My management gave me the, selected me because of my leadership skills to be the team lead of that project. I was a project lead. I led a team of 10 consultants, and then what did you achieve? All right. You talk about, tell me about the time you failed. Now, remember I said, just like I talk about weaknesses. Everybody in life, it's not always up, up, up. We can fail. So you don't say that there was never a time I failed. Already, and we know you're lying. But you talk about the time you failed, the lessons you learned, how you corrected it, and you can say, oh, based on that failure, the next project I had, I applied the lessons I learned, and the next one was a success. So please don't say I don't have any time I failed, please. Now look, this is STAR method I was talking about. So STAR means situation, situation, task, action, and result. So for situation, you set the scene. This is for your behavioral and interviews, right? Your CBI. You set the scene, you give context so that the interviewer understands the environment, all right? You describe the task, your specific responsibility, and what were you expected to do. Action. Remember I said explain what you did, use I, not we, because we're not interviewing your team, we're interviewing you. So be specific about your own contribution. And then for the results, it must be a measurable outcome. Remember I said data. Data speaks now. We want to hear data. So wherever possible, please use numbers, use figures. Always be specific. Use I, not we. And end with results. Numbers, if possible. Okay? That's the STAR method. So this is an example of the STAR method. Tell me about the time you missed a deadline or you faced a challenge. So the situation, the supplier delayed, a supplier delay occurred just before a major project launch and product launch. We're going to launch our products in the new detergent in the market. I'm just giving an example. What was the task? We're supposed to deliver a full marketing campaign, but we didn't have the final product specs. What did we do? We adjusted the campaign timeline, implemented the placeholder content system, and what was the result? At the end of it all, this is just a summary. Of course, there's more story that you put, right? The launch was delayed by just 2 days. We thought it would be a 2-week delay. My management already screaming, but we were only, we had a 2-day delay, and the client renewed their contract based on our performance. We were so happy with our performance because we were able to deliver, on time. So this answer shows that you're a problem solver, you take initiative, you're able to deliver measurable outcomes, positive outcomes. And that's what we want to hear as interviewers. All right. This is another example, but I will just skip through it. This is a time when you are a project you are proud of. I will just skip through. You understand the STAR method now. Situation, task, action, and your results must be measurable outcomes. The result here is all roles we are filled ahead of schedule. Reducing hiring timeline by 30% and securing repeat business. We want to hear you reduce hiring timeline by 30%. Okay, let's talk. You secure repeat business. Let's talk. Okay. So after the interview, that's before the interview. We've done during, I want to go after. We're almost done with the session. I hope we are getting some nuggets. I pray, please, if you are getting some nuggets, I wish I could take, we could interact with you because of time. So we have the time for Q&A. How do we shine after the interview? So you've done the interview. Congratulations. You've been interviewed. You've done everything. Body language was good. Confidence. You gave the right answers. You smiled genuinely. You nodded when you should nod. All right. Now, the end of the question, the end of the interview. When they ask you when they ask you at the end, any questions, please don't say no questions. I've been in some interview sessions. The candidate said, I don't have any question. Really? And you came for the interview with us, you must have a question. It shows that you are genuinely interested and you are, present during the interview. So these are some of the questions you can ask. You can ask, what does success look like in the first 90 days? If I'm found successful, what does success look like in the first 90 days? You can ask, what's the biggest challenge that the team faces right now? So I know how to fix it or how to, what I can add, but how much value I can add. You can ask, how does this role support the company's goals at this year? So I know how to plug in, So they are seeing that you already see yourself. In fact, you're telling them that I'm part of you people, whether you like it or not, okay? So please ask these kind of questions. You can also ask a question about the culture because you yourself might not want the culture there. You can say, can you describe the culture here, please? Okay? Then after that, at the end of it, it's okay to ask, please, what are the next steps in the process? Do I hear from you within what timeline? And then do I have 2 more stages if I'm found successful? It's okay to ask. Remember, I said the interviewer is not a masquerade. They're also interested. So please don't say you don't have any questions. All right. And after the interview, you can send a thank you email. Send a thank you email. Thank you very much. It was nice interviewing with you. Thank you for having me. I mean, just structure it in a professional way. You can mention one specific thing that was discussed. You can, you start to sell yourself again, but not don't go and write this thing. Just a short thank you message. Don't like, oh, this person is a professional. All right. If you don't get a reply in 1 week, you can send a polite follow-up. Don't nag them. Don't push them, Just to show that you're already interested. You can send a polite follow. Oh, I'll just follow up, see, result of my interview. I've not heard from you, And then if there's any outcome, you can ask for feedback. All right. That's how you improve. So you can prefer. If they say, oh, if you are found successful, good. If you're not found successful, please can you let me know what I didn't do well? If you have an opportunity to interact, all right? Even they can say, some people ask me, how did I perform in this interview? Some people actually ask me, all right? But please do one thing. Don't stalk your interviewer on social media. Don't go to LinkedIn and start follow the person. I mean, you can follow, but don't start everything every day. Good morning, ma. Good morning, ma. Please don't do that. Please, and don't stop the interview on social media. You can just, you can send a link. If they don't reply, if they don't accept, it's okay. All right. But don't keep every post. It makes you look desperate. Okay. Now we're rounding up. All right. In the words of Conrad Hilton, he says success seems to be connected with action. Successful people keep moving. They make mistakes, but they don't quit. Like I said, anybody can fail. Everybody has weaknesses. You may not ace one interview, but you learn and then you move to the next one, and you ace the next one. All right. And because as you're interviewing, it's not every audition that is for you. Culture-wise, there are different things that you might be considering. But please don't give up. Don't say, I attended NECA job fair. I attended the session with Michael and NECA. And after all, no, you don't know what, there are different things. There are different things. Just learn. Keep practicing, keep practicing, keep practicing. That will say keep moving. You make mistakes, but please never, ever quit. And you will land that good job. I look forward to seeing you all land that good job. So what will you do differently in your next interview? Remember, you don't need to be perfect too, but you need to be prepared. You might not be perfect, but please need to be prepared. You prepare, you perform, you follow up. All right. Thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you all have that interview, grab that job you've been praying for. I'm looking forward. Tomorrow, if you see me at the fair, please come and meet me and just tell me I have an interview. If you can share a few more tips tomorrow, I will share. Thank you for listening. God bless you all. And I wish you all the best. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I can see the claps. It was another masterclass, and thank you so much, Ma, for sharing those wonderful tips on acing interviews. I'm sure we've captured a lot of nuggets and information about how to successfully, be interviewed by these employers, especially tomorrow. Like she mentioned, we might not be having direct interviews tomorrow, but opportunities will definitely come out from tomorrow's interaction with these employers, and we should always be prepared. Thank you, Ma. But before we let you go, I know there must be questions from participants, and because of time again, I will just limit it to a very few. And the first hand I'm seeing here is by Chima. Chima, please go ahead, unmute and actually, please ensure that you make it brief so that we can accommodate at least 2 more questions before we wrap it up. Chima, kindly unmute and go ahead with your question. Okay. Chima, are you with us? If you are not, I'll move on to the next person, which is Peter Ezrom Ayo. If you can hear me, please unmute. Okay, Chima is with us now. Chima, go ahead, please.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mrs. NECA, for this beautiful and insightful opportunity. So my question is, in an interview, and maybe during an interview, you're asked a question that you do not know. Like you've done your research, you've prepared well and everything, but you really don't know that question. Or it could be something you've not heard before. How do you respond so as not to sound like you are completely ignorant or lose confidence in the process? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Eva. Yeah, I said it can't be perfect. Nobody's perfect, right, in an interview. So if you completely don't know it, please don't bungle it by just saying nonsense. You know what I mean by nonsense. Don't just keep saying different things, and try to hope that if you know a bit of it, please say the bit you know and say, well, that's really what I know. I don't know it fully, but I'm willing to go and research. All right. I'm a fast learner, I'm willing to go and research. But please, if you don't know it totally, I just tell that. Pardon me, I've not come across that, but I'm going to later after this interview, I'm going to learn about it. So that what we're looking for, like I said, we're not looking for a perfect candidate. We're looking for somebody who shows, who has at least you have that basic knowledge and basic willingness. You have the right attitude. Okay. So please feel free. If you don't know absolutely nothing, just be honest and say absolutely nothing, but you are willing to go and learn about it. And then if you know a bit, you can please say the bit you know, and then say, that's all I know. I hope I've gotten it right. Please, I will go and listen. I can come back. Of course, you're not going to come back. Then just say, I can come back. When I've learned more about it. Just show honesty. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ma, for that answer. We'll move on to Peter. Peter, you can unmute and ask your question.
Okay, thank you. So, sorry, please. My question will be like two. The first one, you mentioned that we should avoid like 80% eye contact during interview, as it will look like a kind of intimidating. But my question is, in a case where the interviewer is giving the applicant that kind of eye contact of 80%, is it not a way of intimidating the applicant? That is my question one. And then the second one, while you were talking about tell me about yourself and all that, you mentioned that we should always use we should give figures and percentage. Like for instance, in engineering, like electrical, for instance, how do we put in figures? Like, okay, let me try to recall what you were saying, that I increase.
Okay, Peter, we can't hear you anymore, but I think she understands the question. Now you can go ahead with your response.
Is by maybe total number or total percentage. Like for engineering, how do we do electrical engineering where maybe we do installation? Thank you.
Okay, sorry, Peter. We went over the point. So first the one, but can you hear me? Can you confirm you can hear me, Peter? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So Peter, don't forget you're on the top of the interviewer. So there are different types of interview. Now I said some of them that they try to pretty much try to intimidate you. They can be looking at you. When they wear their glasses, they have my glasses. Let me show you. They will just look at you. After there are different parts, they'll just look at you, they'll put on their glasses like this. They'll be looking at you. They want to intimidate you. All right. It's your job not to be intimidated. So you should not stare. Imagine if you are staring eye to eye. Yeah, the one looking for a job. I know I said it's creepy. You don't stare because the person staring at you, you'll be staring at the person. You will not look down, but you when you can learn the person stares at you. Of course, the person can be staring at you for it. He can't be looking at you like that. No. The person will ask you a question, look at you. You should look at the person when you're answering, but the difference between staring and maintaining eye contact. There's a big difference. I'm talking of creepy staring. You're looking at the person like this. You're not blinking. The person is looking at you. There's a problem. So please don't stare. And the interviewer, like I said, there are different types of interviewers. I know there's some interviewers that are very strict. When you come in, you're already scared. Please, like I told you, take a deep breath. Because once you panic, once you allow them to intimidate you, you will not be able to deliver at your best. Okay? So please don't stare. Then the second question, yes, I understand. There's one when I showed you the right way to answer questions, there's a generic one I said. Sales are people that can only give figures. But in engineering, you may not be able to say, oh, there's no maybe a figure, but what did you improve? Did you improve? Maybe give me an example. You're an engineer. Did you improve on the process? So improve on the process that led to faster output in production. I'm just giving an example. but you must be able to show that your contribution, maybe production time reduced from 20 days to 5 days based on what we did in engineering. Do you understand? We want to see how it might not be figures that is your own, because you're not a salesperson, but in your engineer, what process did you improve on? What did you come up with any innovative thing? And then, that whatever you did must have helped another department or helped the business. How did it impact on the business positively? That's what we want to hear. So it might not be figures, but it must be some measurable value that you added. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Ma. I will take one more. Stephanie Amadi, please go ahead, unmute and go straight to your question.
I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Okay, good afternoon. Thank you, Ma, for this session. I have actually taken note of a lot of mistakes that I have made during interviews. So my question now is, when you have a career break and then you're asked about it, maybe like the career break was due to not like after maybe NYSC, not getting a job, and you're asked like during an interview, why do you have like this 1 year break within your listing? What did you do during that time? Although even if you're taking some courses, what's the best answer to give as regards a career break during an interview?
There's nothing wrong with having a career break. Nothing, absolutely nothing. Everybody understands. But you must be able to say what you did. Like if you were taking courses, like you said, okay, during that 1 year period, I hadn't gotten the kind of job I wanted, but I was developing myself. I took this course, I finished this certification, I did this, I have the certificates to show for it. Then, it shows that you are doing something. You might have been running a business. Yeah. I was baking cakes, I was selling this thing. You can see that you are not idle. So there's absolutely nothing on having a career break, but show what you were doing. Tell about what you were. In fact, you might even pick on something. Maybe you were baking cakes. Oh, really? Tell me about that. Are you still baking cakes? Will it affect your work if you get this job? That kind of thing. So there's nothing wrong, but you must have filled the time profitably and productively. That's the important thing. So if you are taking courses, talk about the courses, talk about what you learned, and even how those courses can help in this new job that you're applying for. All right? Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Ma. I think I would end it on that note. Yeah, thank you so much for a wonderful session. If we keep going on and on, I can see so many hands raised, but because of time and we don't want to keep the participants for too long, so I would take it on from there. Thank you so much for your session, Ma. It was very inspiring and informative, and I'm sure that the tips given will be utilized by the participants as they meet different employers. Thank you. Thank you. Please, you can show you can use the reaction buttons to appreciate her before she leaves. Thank you. I can see. Thank you. We appreciate you. And so we'll move on
Thank
to
you very much.
next.
Thank you, NECA.
Thank you, Ma. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. I wish you all the best. I wish you success in your job search and in your next interview. And I want to hear the good news. Please tell Yemisi to tell me. But if you see me tomorrow, you can meet me. I can see some more questions that we can't take now. Thank you, Yemisi, and kudos to you and the NECA team. Thank you for having me. God bless you, everybody. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you so much, Ma. So before we close the session today, we'll have the closing remark, and that will be taken by Mr. Olushola Ayodele. Is the head of the NECA's Southwest Geographical Group. Mr. Shola, you have the floor. Thank you.
Okay, so I believe that you can hear my voice, though maybe I'll reduce because of the network. So the closing remarks will be very brief as possible. I said, as we draw today's session of the NECA job and employability fair to a close, on behalf of the Nigerian Employers Consultative Association, NECA, we sincerely appreciate all the participants who have contributed to the success of this important engagement. And I'll say that today's engagement or program, it demonstrates what NECA really stands for. enduring commitment to national development, trying to bridge the gap of this high rising unemployment in the country. So beyond advocacy that NECA is known for, we also continue to position ourselves as the strategic institution committed in strengthening the bridge between education, employability, and I would say enterprise competitiveness. In this rapid evolving labor market shaped by technology, innovation, changing workplaces expectation, as we've all the speakers have demonstrated, I think we also need to now take a look at what we as job seekers need to provide that the employers are really requesting for. So this is precisely why NECA continues to host this platform, basically to equip the young Nigerians with practical insights and also to expose them to industry expectation and connect them directly with opportunities capable of transforming their future. You might not be able to meet or walk into a Cadbury, and we are bringing those kind of companies to you. So I must specifically commend our exceptional facilitator, Mr. Michael Alasa, as well as Mrs. Emineka Ineli, who have shared valuable knowledge and practical experiences today, from the highly insightful session on CV and LinkedIn optimization to the engaging discussion on interview mastery and workplace readiness that Madam Nelly provided just now. Your commitment to mentoring and shaping the next generation of professionals is deeply appreciated. To our job seekers and young professionals, I encourage you to see yourself not as an unemployed individuals, but as talents in transition preparing for opportunity. The knowledge that we've acquired today, should strengthen your confidence and shaping your preparedness for realities of today's competitive job market. Importantly, tomorrow being the D-Day, it's another critical phase of this fair. It is the day you engage directly with employers and recruiters. So all the lessons that we've learned from today, please take them on board to demonstrate your readiness for tomorrow. So this is the opportunity to distinguish yourself beyond your CV, as mentioned by our facilitators. Showcase your competence, your mindsets, your communication skills, your professionalism and willingness to learn. One thing that matters is that every conversation that you have tomorrow matters. Every introduction matters. Every impression matters. So I'll say that you should please approach tomorrow with confidence, prepare very well, and be optimistic. The labor market may be challenging, but opportunities still exist for individuals who are prepared, who are disciplined, who are innovative and resilient. So do not limit yourself. The sky truly it's just your limits. Once again, I commend the leadership of NECA, ably championed by our DG, Mr. Diwali Smarto Inridi, who has been keeping the flag of this job fair flying higher and its inception in year 2020. To our partners who will be, the employers for tomorrow, we also still encourage them, commend them as well, and every participant for making today impactful and successful. So we look forward to welcoming everyone tomorrow for the second and equally important phase of the NECA Job and Employability Fair 2026. So on this note, I say thank you to God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. God bless NECA. God bless our IBDG. So over to you, EMC.
And God bless you too, Mr. Shala. Thank you for that wonderful closing remark. And just a few more announcements before we wrap it up. We're closing shortly. So please listen out to this following announcements to help us have a wonderful time tomorrow. If you check your mails, you must have received a mail. We have been able to, profile your CVs and assign you to some of our partners that will be available tomorrow. So please check out for that information so that you know the right booths to visit tomorrow based on your qualifications and the skills that you possess and the openings that are available by these partners. And also tomorrow, I saw some people asking in the chat box what time we'll be starting. The program starts by 9 a.m. and it's taking place at NECA House. NECA House is located at plot A2 Akim Balogun Street in Alausa, Lagos. If you are not familiar with this axis, I would advise you to leave your location early enough so that you can, locate this NECA House. It's in a very strategic position. So please come in early. Ensure that you come in before 9 as the session will start off by 9 a.m. and we expect that you are already seated by then. I also saw a question in the chat box if you'll be required to bring your CVs, physical copies of your CVs. Most organizations are going digital, but it would be nice to have a few copies with you just in case. But I'm sure that some of them would have a link for you to upload your CVs, and we also have copies of your CVs. But it would be nice. Always be prepared. You can have copies of your CVs as you come in tomorrow. And also ensure that you are well dressed. You are coming to meet employers, dress appropriately, so that, like what Mrs. NECA had also mentioned, your appearance matters a lot while you're discussing with employers. Registration will go on in the morning. So like I said, please come in as early as possible. For some of you, you might need to update your CVs based on the information you have been able to gather from today's session. Update your CV so that, it's well, it contains the right information that the employers will be looking out for. And also to appreciate all our partners. Some of them are on this call. We appreciate all our partners, Nestle, Friesland Campina, Right Foods, Jubilee Bros, Unilever. These are the organizations that will be around tomorrow. So ensure that you come prepared so that you can meet with them. Workforce will be around. Rectum, Olam Agri will be here. Perfective and Melel, they'll be here. Dangote Group will be with us tomorrow. GZI will be here tomorrow. Polaris Bank, Vitafoam, Lagos State Employment Trust Fund will be here. Macte will be here. TGI. So like Mrs. NECA mentioned, you can start doing some research on these organizations to know what they do and how you can engage with them. International Breweries will be with us tomorrow. USC Foods is here tomorrow. Some of our partners also, Niger Biscuits, May and Baker, they've supported these initiatives. We appreciate you. VF Global Services will also be available tomorrow. You can engage with them. Bolts is also one of the employers that will be on ground tomorrow. GIZ will be here too. Truck Masters will also be there. For those that are into engineering, different sectors will be available. Banking sectors, manufacturing. Comfort Chef is also going to be here. 7up Bottling Company will be here tomorrow. ALX, Citizens Pension, Union Bank, Promasidor, and many more will be available to meet with you tomorrow. So please ensure that you engage with as many as possible. Check your mails for the profiling that has been done and to know the right employer to visit their booths tomorrow. Come in early. And I think from my end, that will be it. Utilize all the information that you've gotten. And aside from the job fair, just a moment, let me run us through. We have a program that is going to start off towards the end of this month. If you are also interested in it, is a collaboration between NECA ICT Academy and the VF Global. I'll be having a 4-week training program on computer vision lab and artificial intelligence. It's going to run for 4 weeks and it's free. So please scan the code, check the URL, you can register, and then you'll be interviewed and be given the opportunity to be trained. The DG mentioned about upskilling and ensuring that you remain relevant in the job space. So please, this is another opportunity. Even before you get to be engaged with one of the employers, you can quickly participate in this training for the next 4 weeks. So please scan the code, spread the word to your friends. They can register and be a part of this wonderful initiative. And from that end, I would say thank you to everyone. Thank you to the wonderful participants. We're at a point over 300 on the call. I know some are also on YouTube watching. Thank you to our YouTube viewers also. Thank you for joining on this call. We wish you a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you to the management of NECA, our DG, Mr. Adewale Smarto Day. Thank you for this opportunity. I will look forward to a wonderful time tomorrow. Please be punctual. We start by 9, but we expect that you are seated before 9.